am sure sports. You know me there, I'm coach to coach representing. I mean, I say this is righteous representing for Omar. You don't know, come get your sports over here from near and far. Boy. Me say I am sure sports, one thing me sure about. When me say sure, that me not doubt. Come get your sports, get it over here. Come subscribe, repost and share. I am sure sports, one thing me sure about. When me say sure, that me not doubt. Come get your sports, get it over here. Come subscribe, repost and share. If me not sure, that me not say it. Know who score, that me not say it. Never know no game play, that me not say it. If me never see no game, me no know who play. For your sports news, better come over here so. For your soccer news, then come over here so. If you don't love sports, still come over here so. For the day done, you are gonna love over here so.
So when it comes on to behavior concerning football, Jamaica is decent. I am sure that if we can get all of these things done, set in place by the end of April, it gives us enough time before the World Cup campaign. Not afraid of no Brazil, no Argentina with these crap of players. We are good enough. Remember to like, subscribe, share. Listen, comment, let me know what your thoughts are.
Jamaican herbs and spices add delicious, bold flavor to your next grilling experience. Flavoring sauce, a marinade, basting, condiment, or topping. Trick Nick Jerk Barbecue Sauce.
Gives your meats and vegetables authentic Jamaican jerk flavor. The spices are directly from Jamaica. Spices like jerk seasoning, allspice, Scotch bonnet pepper, fresh scallions, thyme, ginger, and garlic. The key ingredients to a great jerk marinade. 0% sugar and low in sodium. You want to try it?
All right, greetings and welcome to I Am Sure Sports. I'm your host, Manning's Man. You see, I'm wearing my colors. Don't be fooled. This does not represent Chelsea. As you know, I am a Gunner follower. And also from Manning's, I'm wearing blue. But this is a gift that I got from my Christmas from PLS United out there in Port St. Lucie, Florida. Yeah, that club. You know, the coach over there sent me some gear because he loves what I'm doing, and I had to wear this. Uh, they run a nice academy over there, operated by Altimon Freddie Butler, former national player, and also I think was a part of the U20 setup here in Jamaica. So I want to welcome you to I Am Sure Sports. Hope you are having a top of the morning. You are alive, so give thanks for life, and that life is abundant life. Also want to welcome everyone who has joined the stream so far. Lee Young and Ryan, LFC, and Coach Minzy from the coach's desk is also on. I want to take this opportunity before I introduce my guests and tell you about our sponsors to just, encourage you. This is something that I have begun at the start of all my videos, just to give you a little reflection so we can understand sometimes the real value and the meaning of life. And this is from the scriptures. It says, but above all things, put on love, which is the bond of perfection, and let the peace of God rule in your hearts, to which also you are called into one body, and be thankful. Let the word of Christ dwell in you richly in all wisdom, teaching and admonishing one another in psalms and hymns and spiritual songs, singing with grace in your hearts to the Lord. And whatever you do, in word or in deed, do it all in the name of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks to God the Father through him. You understand me? So whatever you do it unto God and not unto men. Don't do things to get your rewards from men. Do it unto God. And let the peace of God rule in your heart. We need peace in our country. We need peace in the world. And that peace starts with you. The shalom. Nothing missing, nothing lacking from God. So whatever you're going through this morning, listen, just operate with the peace of God and love people and love God. Make a concerted effort today to show love. no matter how hard a person may be treating you, make a conscious decision of your will that you are going to show love. Want to say a big thank you to the sponsors of this video. They are Tricknick. Tricknick is a Jamaican owned and operated company in Canada, and they use authentic Jamaican herbs and spices to make all their products. And they're offering 25% discount on all their yeah, we had a couple of winners yesterday, and they won some products, and they'll be getting them in a couple of weeks, right? So, yeah, stay tuned for that and listen out for that. Amen. All right. I was muted. I can't believe it. You didn't hear anything that I read, or tell me that you heard what I read, or I was muted for a brief second. But this morning we have with us the General Secretary for the Jamaica Football Federation. His name is Mr. Dalton Wint, and he'll be joining this morning to speak to us about his roles and responsibilities. I know that you have a whole lot of questions for him as well, so you have to understand, just put the questions in, and if I don't answer them immediately, it does not mean that I'm ignoring you. It just means that I want to ensure that I get some questions in, and also afford him the opportunity to properly explain himself and be as clear as possible without being interruptive and intrusive. And so if at first you don't succeed in me answering the question, just resend the question. But in time, I will get to it. I normally don't take any question at all until after the first 30 minutes. And then at every 30-minute interval, I go through a series of questions. So you can time it right there and drop it in. All right. All right. So without any further ado, let's welcome this morning to I Am Sure Sports, General Secretary of the Jamaica Football Federation, Mr. Dalton Wint. Mr. Wint, good morning to you and your family. Merry Christmas and a happy New Year when it comes.
Good morning to you and good morning to your listeners too. And may you continue to enjoy what's left of the festive season.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much. And you're doing well? All is well with you and family?
Absolutely. We're alive and well, and that's what we are about, life.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I listen, I'm so happy and delighted that you're here. People say you like rare gold, very hard to find, and so finally we have laid hold of you after trying desperately. So we go maximize the moment and see how best we can get much out of this interview. I mean, you must be a very popular person because it's 9 o'clock and many persons are on the stream already. So we'll see how that goes. But why don't you begin by telling us? I mean, how did you get involved in football, and how did you ascend to this role as General Secretary of the Jamaica Football Federation?
Uh, my introduction to football came in the late 80s when I was at CAS at the time, and I dabble with interdepartment football. I managed the engineering department football team for a while, and I was on the dorm, and we played inter-dorm football, and I was a part of that. I played a little football when I was at Homewood for the under 16. Started out, didn't reach very far with it because of various reasons, and lived far from the school, had to travel, was not allowed to be able to participate in the training as I would have liked, but I did not reach very far with the football, but still love the game. I got involved seriously into managing teams when I started with a team called Symbolic in Manchester. Myself and a gentleman by the name of Neil Evans got involved with Symbolic, what was a team. It's now defunct though in Manchester. Then doing some work there, I got a call. I used to work at Alcan, and I had a friend by the name of Anthony White in Alcan, who was a part of the Mile Gully setup. And I started giving him some help. And then he asked me if I would, come and join the Mile Gully setup. I was very reluctant at the time. I had some business in Mile Gully. I was running a video club, and I stopped by, and I saw what they were doing, and I got introduced to Mr. Barn Watson. And from there, I started, going around the team, and then I managed a team, I think, in about 99, 98, 99, and started there. So that was my serious introduction. I dipped into football.
Okay, so that was during the period when Mile Gully was in the Premier League.
Yes, Mile Gully, yes, went to the Premier League. And I think they went in 98, I think. 98. 99.
Okay. All right. So from Mile Gully, were you a part of the Manchester Parish Football Association?
Yes, managing Mile Gully, I started representing Mile Gully at the MFA at their meetings, and then Mr. Dale Spencer asked me to come and serve in the executive. I was a little bit reluctant. He was very persuasive, and then I started there, giving some support. Immediately after being on the executive, I was thrust into the post of general secretary at the MFA, and immediately after that, just a couple of months after, I was thrust into the post of the general secretary of the then South Central Confederation. So, I had been working in the general secretary era for quite some time now.
Okay, so you have never served as the president of the Manchester Football Association, just general secretary?
Yes, I did serve. I did a good stint there as president when Mr. Spencer left. I was the general secretary until 2017 when I became the general secretary of the JFF.
Okay, you're president up until 2017.
Yes, I was president.
All right.
I did about a 10-year stint there as president.
All right. Okay, so prior to being the general secretary, you were just a board member of the JFF.
Yes, I was a board member for quite a while.
All right, and that is because you were now a parish president, so you are automatic board member, because that is how it works, right?
Yes, and the fact is that Mr. Spencer was the chairman of the Confederation, and that allowed Manchester to get a second place at the table of the directorship of the JFF. And so I served for a while as general secretary and the representative of Manchester at the board of the JFF. I've been sitting at the JFF board for quite some time now.
Okay. On the matter of the board, let me ask: is there any plans? Because the board of directors are the parish presidents, the president, the general secretary, and the vice president. That's what comprises the board of directors for the JFF.
And two independent directors.
And two independent directors.
Yes.
Independent meaning persons appointed by the JFF, or just person who you will call independent on what you're doing?
Persons appointed by the JFF, and those two persons are Mr. Rudolph Speed and Mr. Dennis Chump.
Oh, Rudolph Speed. Okay.
Yeah.
And Dennis Chump. All right. Are there plans to involve like a representative from like the say the Jamaica Manufacturers Association as an example, or from the ISA, the president of ISA as part of that, because seeing that the board also makes some decision, is there plans, or would it be feasible to have like other representation at the board level who are not necessarily a part of the presidency of parishes, but they are football stakeholders? Like the Independent School Association may have a person on it because independent school play football. ISA may have a person on it the Jamaica Chamber of Commerce, or would that make it too big? What are your thoughts on that? Are there any plans to do that?
There's two school of thought, and that a board should be of a certain manageable amount. But the fact is, JFF board is now, including myself, is 20. There is an ongoing process where the consultation has started, and we are looking at being a lot more inclusive in terms of representation at the board level. So that study has started. There quite a bit of work has been done. A draft that was sent to FIFA sometime now, and they are going through. A matter of fact, we expect a response from FIFA within the early part of this year or next year, to see where we go with the recommendations and the suggested draft that we have.
Okay. Would you be able to enlighten us on any aspect of that draft? Is it an expansion of the board? And if so, to what number, and what would it look like? If approved by FIFA, what would the new board look like that will make it more inclusive?
There are different scenarios that is there, that is presented. The fact is that it might end up with an increase with the numbers, because we, as I said, we want to include a certain amount of stakeholders, and that board representing the board. It is something that is not cast in stone, so we are working to see how best it would fit, and what are the recommendations coming from FIFA with what we have suggested.
Okay. And how does I mean, because you're much traveled because of the role that you're in. How the Jamaica Football Federation is structured? How does it compare with the rest of teams? Like I would say powerhouses in CONCACAF football. Is our structure similar to what is in the United States, similar to Mexico, Costa Rica, Panama, Canada? Or is it different? And
In some aspect, we have similarities.
okay.
Yes, and some we differ quite extensively. But the fact is that, as I said, we have done the study, we're consulting, and we recognize that there ought to be some changes with the construct of our board. And so we are looking seriously and having that being remedied in the very near future.
Okay. All right. So now let's come down to you before we get to board member. What are, as a general secretary, what are your primary roles and responsibility? Because and I'm asking this question because the worst thing that can happen to anyone in life is that people expect something of you that is not your responsibility. So I don't think the general public is aware of what is the role of a general secretary within the JFF present structure, whomever that person it is. It so happens to be you at
Hmm.
a particular juncture. So what are the roles and responsibilities?
You must carry out the mandate of the board of directors, policies that is laid down at the board. The day-to-day operation is under your jurisdiction. All football, everything that happens with football falls under your portfolio, including what is done on the field of play, the secretariat, because you are not directly in charge of all the charges that is at the JFF, but indirectly, everything falls under the secretariat and has to be managed. It's a 24-hour job. It's very, very challenging. It is something that demands a lot from you. It's ever evolving. It does not remain constant for 1 minute. It changes and changes rapidly. So you have to be making the adjustments and adjusting your time and your action as you go along.
So your role is whatever the board dictates, I carry out.
Yes, yes.
All right. What about now the mission of the JFF or the vision for the term of the JFF? What responsibility is there for you to ensure that that mission is accomplished?
Well, the JFF has a 5-year strategic plan that speaks to the holistic development of the sport throughout the country. And there are quite a few things that must be done and done within a certain amount of time. We have been looking at our strategic plan and continue to do some work because presently we do have a governance commission that is driving the change at the JFF. As I said, the JFF is ever evolving and we have to modernize the way how we operate. And so for us to do so, we have to educate ourselves with the change in time and the adjustments that needs to be made. And so the governance review is actively taking place. We meet actually at least twice per month, minimum. We have been meeting weekly and to review the structure of the organization, the organizational chart, manpower, different job descriptions, different personnel, cross training, different ways how we operate. The JFF has evolved because, as you know, social media is right at our doorstep. There is nothing that is done that is not being exposed. Sometimes it is exposed prematurely or exposed in the wrong way, but we try to see how best we can control things. But it's difficult, and we are working and working and continue to work seriously to see how best we can change the perception that is out there.
Okay. All right. So, I mean, I'm going to back up and ask. You said there's a governance commission and there's a committee that is reviewing policies and all of those things. Who are the persons that make up the governance commission or committee?
Well, that governance commission is led by Mr. Christopher Samuda, and we have persons internally. Myself is a part of it. We have assisting with our secretariat, Deborah Shaw, we have Mr. Wayne Thompson, Mr. Peter Reed is a part of it. We have now engaged the services of Mr. Courtney Lodge, who has come on board to give us some support. And from time to time, persons are invited. A matter of fact, what was done recently is that there was a review by an independent person from FIFA. This request was made by Secretariat about 2 years ago. And there was a study that was done at the JFF of how we operated. And the recommendation was given. And so the governance committee is here to implement some of the recommendation, if not all recommendations that has come out of that study.
Okay. Is there any any recommendation that you can speak to directly that has come out of this governance committee? Because you said that they have been meeting almost weekly to kind of look at reviewing. Is there any one thing that you can attribute to the governance committee in terms of policy suggested changes made?
Well, we have a few policies that has now been approved by the board. Our cash policy, per diem policy, our procurement policy, and our safeguarding policy. Right? Those are policies that has now been approved by the board. We have for some time now approved a retirement policy at the JFF. And so The organizational structure of the JFF is one thing that is being studied and recommended to the board. We hope in short order to be able to start the implementation, of these recommendations in terms of the organizational structure.
Okay. All right. I noticed that based on the name that I have here, I see, I don't know if I missed any: Christopher Samuda, Dalton Wint, Wayne Thompson, Peter Reed, Courtney Lodge, independent person from FIFA, Deborah Shaw. Those are the names that I captured in what you were saying. I
Right.
don't see a marketing person involved in this, or a communication person, which is part of the mechanism of the GFF that needs to be looked at in terms of how, and you said it earlier, that prematurely certain things are communicated. Who is on this recommendation board or this committee to help with how the GFF communicates with all its stakeholders, from players to the audience to the media, and also marketing its product and marketing itself? Who on this board are are you know operate in that capacity in terms of recommendation?
Well, the fact is that the commission has subcommittees, and in that, one such subcommittee is the communication um, committee that is put together. Marketing is there too. So these committees work as a subset of the governance committee. So the work is being done because we want to create this communication policy. And we hope early in the new year that communication policy will be a part of the JFF and approved by the board. So work is being done on it, and I'm happy to be able to say that Earl Bailey is a part of our communication arm at the JFF.
Earl
We have
Bailey.
a lot of persons, quite a few persons. I can't remember all the names now. I think we have about 5 members of that communication um, committee that is working on a policy that will be launched in the very near future.
With the advent of all of these social media platforms they call vloggers on out there in the space that they delve into all kinds of issues relating to the GFF and Jamaica's football, right? Is there any plans afoot to get like a person or a group of them a part of this, because they are getting more information out there at this present time than what would call mainstream media?
We have started out, and I tell you, some of the things that should be exposed that the JFF is not really exposed. Because the fact is that we do have a JFF 3D, and it is mounted on the platform of what's the new, I'm trying to remember the name of but it's a shame. I'll get it and let you know. But we did have a podcast running for quite a while at the JFF because we do have a studio. And unfortunately, the person who started had to migrate or return to her country of birth. And so it stopped. We are working to see how best we can restart that. And I mentioned bloggers. Those are something that we are looking at. We have our social media team that needs a little bit more encouragement in terms of probably membership. And so those are things that we're working on.
All right. I'm going to ask one more question, then I'm going to take some questions from the persons in the comment section. The other question is, you mentioned Earl Bailey. When I asked about the marketing and the communication. You spoke about Earl Bailey being in the communication subcommittee of the commission. All right. What about the marketing aspect of things? Who heads up the subcommittee of the marketing, the subcommittee of marketing that is under this governance commission? Because it is next, I would say most people would say it's probably a very woeful area right now in terms of getting merchandise in particular, and seeing pictures of our players as an example, branding, all of those things? Who heads up that area?
Well, from the JFF Secretariat, we have this young lady who have joined us recently, filling in the gap until we get a commercialized manager. It's Miss Sidonie Sang. She's trying to see how best she can deal with that marketing department.
Sidonie Sang?
Yes, Sidonie Sang.
Okay.
The fact is that it is something that is being reviewed. The marketing department is presently a work in progress that is being reviewed. And announcement, I guess the president will be making an announcement shortly of who has been selected as the chair, because we lost the chairman of the marketing committee recently. And so we want to get one in place and to, start the thrust of getting the JFF properly marketed.
But don't you think, like, given that the place where the World Cup campaign is, we don't have a lot of time to get on a marketing person so we can maximize all the. You understand me? Because it could be just 6 more games. Yeah, well, it's 6 more games, and then at the end of that, the major thrust in terms of marketing would have been lost. So when you say, I tell people, when you're talking to me, don't use the word soon, because the last person who said soon was Jesus. Jesus is coming soon and him don't reach yet. So when you say the president will make an announcement soon, I mean, when of who is in charge of that, when can we expect that? Because there's not a lot of time right now.
Well, I suspect that we'll have one in place by the end of January, and that might be a little bit, uh, very, very optimistic. But it is something we have been working on. We just don't want to trust this position into the hands of persons who don't have the dedication to and the commitment to get the marketing thrust of the JFF going.
Okay, all right. So I'm going to take some questions from our panelists, around 6 of them, and then I will go back. This one is from a Duckland Stennett. He says, in Mr. Wint's view, what is the perception of the JFF in the public?
Um, there is quite a lot of varying views that is out there of the JFF. Some seeing the JFF as struggling. Some see the JFF as a work in progress. Some see the JFF as being, negative, corrupted, and different views are out there. We're hoping that will change. And, because if there is no proof to what is out there, then, the perception will change. So we need to be out there telling our side of the story. It's not been told, and we recognize that. Our communication arm of the JFF is very, very weak, and we recognize that. And this is something that we're working on to fix, and hopefully we'll be able to fix it soon. You don't like the word soon, but it's something that comes up, because we try to put timelines to things. Yes, we do try to put
Soon is that a timeline,
right. And
Just,
our timelines are in quarters. So the first quarter, we are expecting to at least have a draft communication policy, or if not an approved communication policy that we can use to drive our thrust out there in the public.
But would it, what would help? Because when it comes down to corruption, that the thing is that even if people can't prove that you're corrupt, they will still hold the perception. Because the one thing that I know that removes the suspicion of corruption is more transparency.
Yes.
Like, the more transparent we are, especially with finances, it is the less people will think that we are corrupt, even if we are corrupt. So is there any plans presently in place to make as much information open to the public, including financial information, which is, for example, a match was played, spectators were allowed. Could there have been a breakdown, and this is what we collected, and here is what was spent, and our overall budget was that, and we had a loss of so and so. If people begin to see figures like that, do you believe that that would help with removing the perception of corruption? And what are the plans to provide that kind of information to the public?
Well, on our website, we do have our audited statement. We're audited by FIFA, we're audited by CONCACAF, we're audited internally, right? And we are audited by our audited company. So we do have to have our books correct, because if it's not, then we are in serious problems. And so, as I said, our audited statement is made public. The fact is
I don't
that,
want to interrupt you though, Mr. Wint, but you know that the website is not operative at
yeah,
this.
it is something that what we're working on. Unfortunately, the host of the website is, a little problem with it. And so we are getting this thing sorted out.
Okay.
But as I said, every year we have to. It's a mandate by FIFA that we must make public. And it's public. It's public, That's something that we can't hide. It is something that is for public consumption or audited statement.
Yeah, but all right. So I do agree with that. I would say it was public because it was there, but no, it's not there. So and this is what I'm saying. The fact that it was there, the website stopped working. You know what people are going to say? All right, because people are talking about it, the JFF shut it down. That's so we have to understand whether it is people don't learn to fill the gap with trust. So if I'm beginning to talk about what I see in the audited statement and next week the site just shut down, I am going to think it's because they believe that I'm going to find something, so they shut down the site. So it is important, right, that those things. But even though the site is shut down, I am saying there are other things that I think that could be implemented. For example, a match was played recently where spectators were allowed. It stands to reason that given the amount of spectators, you'd have had a loss because the 5,000 spectator cannot carry the budget of hosting a game in the pandemic. Why wasn't that kind of information shared to remove this perception or to help remove this perception? Because all people want is honesty and transparency.
You cannot put unaudited information out in the public. So you have to ensure that these things are audited before you put it out for audited consumption, for public consumption. So we are constrained because the fact is that we do meet as a board every 3 months. And I can't be just sending out information to the public without it being vetted and approved by the board. But the fact is that there are basic things that we can do, in saying that these are estimated amount and say what is. We can do that. And I think it's something that we are trying to do to ensure that we allow the public as much information that is pertinent for public consumption. And so it is something that we are working on that will come with our communication policy. When that policy is created, it will say to us how we should approach public with information.
All right. So what I'm trying to understand. So let me get this clear. You're saying that if you could not come forward and say, listen, to host one game in Jamaica, including COVID protocols, officials, it's X amount of millions, $10 million as an example. Sponsorship, we have receiving sponsorship throughout the program per game, $10. And gate receipts is from the 5,000 tickets that were available, we sold 4,300, and that is a total of 7,000. So we have a fall short. You're saying that before that can be made public, it must go through a process of audit.
What happens is that I can say some things out there and to say it's an approximation. because these are things that are in draft stage. What you don't want to do as a public entity like this, you must provide information that is vetted and audited, right? There is no other way in which I think we should operate. There are basic information that we can put forward out there, and it's not to the numbers, to the exact number that can be put out there. Because we have said it many times before, how much it costs to operate a game and tickets. That was the last time we sold about 2,000 tickets. Those are information that I can disseminate to the public.
There you go. That's what I think. That is what we want here, because people like to know. Listen, this campaign, we spend an approximate figure of 1.5 million on player salary or coaching
Mhm.
staff. It's a next $1 million. You understand me? Travel expenses is like those figures, and people understand, because all people want to know generally, here is what the expenditures are and here is what the income is, so people can see that there is a shortfall, and seeing and they know that this is there, maybe because it's an approximate, right? But there, within the approximate, people know that there's a margin of error. It could be
Yeah.
a little bit above, but to have no figure at all, you just don't know, and you're thinking, okay, they have enough money, because there are also those claims that enough money has been given through CONCACAF to do this. So with all of those things now, if the JFF says we have no money, it creates a problem in the eyes of people who believe that monies have been given, because they don't know what the true figures are, either approximate or exact.
But the fact is that the campaign for the next two set of games that will cost us about 1.5 million US dollars just for the men, the senior men. We have the women, senior women coming up. We have the under 17, we have the under 23. For both men and women, we have the youth, which consists of the under 15 boys and girls, that is coming up for next year. So quite a few activity that will demand a lot of money. What is given to us? CONCACAF will give you a yearly subvention of about 125,000 US dollars. There is $1 million from FIFA that is available to you. 500,000 upfront, and you have to earn the other 500,000 by participating in different activities such as international games for both senior men and women and
Yes,
youth.
half a million euros are US dollars.
US dollars. So
All right,
you can earn up
and there's a 125,000 from CONCACAF.
from CONCACAF.
Okay, go ahead. Continue.
So the JFF would have to earn, as I said, you'll get a 500,000 upfront and the other 500. Well, luckily because of COVID, they have exempted all the countries from the requirement in terms of earning the other 500. So all countries receive the total $1 million
$1
we
million.
did last year. And we are hoping, management, that will be something that is sanctioned by FIFA again this year, because it is difficult. And football 2 years ago is a lot more costly than football presently.
So
You
between
are allowed
CONCACAF and FIFA, you got $1.1 million in 2021
from FIFA.
from FIFA and CONCACAF
Yes, yes,
combined. 1.1
right,
million. Yeah.
right. We were fortunate enough to be the only team in CFU, and so we received $1.5 million from CFU. That was the blessing that we received, Manins. else we would be in serious trouble if we hadn't received that money
Okay.
from TFU.
Okay, so now I'm getting it. So CONCACAF gave you 125,000, FIFA
Yes,
1 million, and
yes.
CONCACAF 1.5 million. So the program has really been run by CONCACAF and
TFU.
CFU.
CFU. I said TFU.
So that's $2.6 million, and that is what is running the program.
Right. Well,
Wow.
we received some sponsorship
Okay.
along the way, management
Yes.
that have assisted us.
Okay. All right. Let me just take, because I mean, there are so many questions. I tell you, you're a very popular man in us. So just you can go through so the questions for you. This one is asking how challenging it is to operate with a limited budget, and what has been done to and what has or is being done to improve the financials.
What we are doing now is presently maximize every cent that is being spent at the JFF and try to reduce our debt. A matter of fact, this organization started out with approximately close to 3 million US dollars. It is coming down because of some of the initiatives that we have put in place to see how best we can remove this burden of debt. Because if you're starting with a negative cash flow, not cash flow, but you're starting with a negative um, on the books, it is difficult for you to go forward. So if we are not able to reduce the debt, then just like how our country is running, we are in an indebted nation. And so we have to be borrowing to take care of this country. The JFF is not that lucky to be able to borrow money, but we are, have to be very fiscally prudent with how we manage the meager resources that we have at the JFF. And the JFF has been doing a fairly good job. We have persons who we can lean on to give us serious advice because I don't operate like I know everything. I don't. I don't. I'm an engineer by profession, so there are a lot of persons with different expertise that I draw on that assist in the running of the JFF. And I have a fairly um, good staff. Have been reducing in numbers. That is something that I think we need to address shortly to see how we can get the numbers up. We are just waiting on the approval of the organizational structure to see how we can operate differently and efficiently. But as I said, it's a work in progress, man.
All right. Why is it so difficult? This person is asking for the national to get sponsorship for the national team.
It is difficult because of the environment that we are in. COVID has sucked up a lot of money out of companies, a whole heap of money, including the JFF. And so we understand that. So some of the programs that a matter of fact, we sat down as a JFF, and for certain spots, we would have asked for, say platinum sponsor, a certain amount. That has been reduced drastically to encourage persons to come on because the fact is that they do not have the sort of money to be able to sponsor football as they used to because
Really?
of
But Mr.
poor,
Wint, listen, sorry to cut you. I know because we're
yeah,
going into COVID, but a couple of things, right? I will highlight. One, many of these companies have been putting up statements of how their profit margins have significantly gone up. That's number one. All right. I
yeah,
won't call the names, but I mean, from public statements, their profit margins, and they, at least three of them I know, were former sponsors of the team. Don't know what the level of sponsorship was. Secondly, there was after Miss Dunchi, I believe her name is, after her tenure ended, and there was I forgot her name. I think her name was Sophia Harris, was supposed to come in as a marketing consultant. One of the things that she initially said that is that when she looks at the USA game, she talked about all the banners all around the stadium. All right, because remember, seeking sponsorship should never be limited to the country you're living in. You said something very important. We are the only CFU nation in this stage. Have we extended our reach beyond Jamaica in seeking sponsorship to other places in the Caribbean, in CONCACAF, and across the world? Even people who are business operators in the diaspora, Jamaicans who are operating successful businesses, who may want to brand something here to advertise their business. Have we limited ourselves to the local marketplace?
Absolutely not. As a matter of fact, it was public knowledge that we had engaged an international firm to market the football for us. One such firm has not brought in a cent for us. The fact is that they,
Is that
they
is that firm still engaged, or you have cut
yes,
ties with that firm?
basically the time has come to a close in terms of that engagement because we do short-term engagement because we want to see you walk the walk and not only do the talk. So that engagement has basically come to an halt. But the fact is that, man, we need to, and we spoke about it, ramp up our marketing effort. The marketing arm of the JFF needs a lot of improving, and we recognize that. We have lost Donche in the middle of our campaign. The fact is that for us to be able to positively impact the marketing of the JFF, we need to have a department that is functioning with personnel in that department. That is lacking, and it's something that is being worked on.
All right. So I have so many questions, right? People, please just understand. Roving ball player. The question about the coaching. If you watch the interview with Andrew Peart yesterday, you'd have gotten all of that. So I won't ask Mr. Wint that one because that one I think was answered by Mr. Peart yesterday. Tennessee is asking what happened to your YouTube channel. I think that is what you were speaking of earlier. You said that it is not operative.
Right. So we had a podcast, and as I mentioned, the person who had hosted and led on that have migrated or returned to our country of origin. So we are working on these things. Yes, I understand the frustration, and the frustration is me too, in terms of getting replacement, getting back this, in a positive way back on board. The issue is that we need not just a one person in our marketing department as we used to. We need a department that if one person leaves, then we have continuity. That is being worked on.
Yeah. And this person is asking, Unseen Sports TV is asking, is there any changes of the voting for eras in the JFF, meaning to move it from 13 members voting to coaches, referees, players, etc., like to increase the voting pool for the next election, like for who can be president and stuff like that?
That will form part, that has formed part of the draft that has been sent to FIFA.
Okay. All right. And then how would you grade your administration for this year? Or if you were to look out at 10 and say, listen, based on all the failures and all the successes, our performance this year is out of 10.
Based on the limited resources that we do have, I think an 8 would be reasonable.
8 out of 10.
8 out of 10. We cannot, and at no times, consider ourselves to be perfect. We have made some mistakes. We have not been able to maximize some of the things that we should have, and we recognize that. But we continue. One of the things that we are committed to do is to continue to do the work to improve the JFF.
Okay. All right. With regards to marketing, did Mr. Ricketts say that they are in the process of bringing in an overseas company to handle it? Is this plan still? Is this planned marketing different from that? From that from person that you spoke about?
It
Because
will be,
she's a Sidoni, I think you mentioned a Sidoni song who is presently. So he's trying to find out if when Mr. Ricketts spoke about an overseas company, is this the person Sidoni?
no.
Yeah.
Sidney is employed at the JFF.
Okay.
What we spoke about is an engagement with a firm that did not deliver. Mr. Ricketts spoke to another firm that has been engaged, and they are working at least some projects that should come into fruition, hopefully. And I won't use the word because you don't like it. Soon.
So it don't mean that Jesus isn't
He,
coming. You know.
he
It's
has
just
made a
say that
commitment, and
he,
also he has made a commitment that hopefully by the second quarter of next year, we should be able to see a very impactful presentation to this country.
okay. All right. So um you know that a website though, let me just go back because somebody's saying here, which is so true, that in terms of the website, there are many people here, no, there are people in even in this space today that they could come in and set up and run your website, and you'd be amazed that it would be flying like and you know, listen, you are a graduate of CAS, the University of the Technology. You were in the School of Engineering. There is a School of Computer Science. I am 100% sure that every year out of the school within engineering and computing, there are people who graduate who don't have jobs, who their responsibility is to build and manage website. Couldn't there be a partnership where you even are not even a partnership? Find somebody from the university and just come in.
Mm. As I said, this has happened recently in terms of the website going down. The host of the website, we are in discussion because remember, things are done contractually. And you can't just jump from one contract to the next without having proper discussion and dialogue. I am promising that early next year we will resolve this.
Okay. So my thought is that there, if you can't find anybody, I can tell you one place: the university that you graduate from.
I just tell you, I'll be getting a lot of calls immediately after this because the fact is that we have been, you know, been engaged, as I said, in terms of partnership with the host of this website, and it went down. We are having discussion. We hope we'll be having a resolution to this situation shortly. But if that is not working out, we go to plan B, in which we source another source and get this thing happening. It's urgent. We
I
recognize
hope
that
you
it's
own a domain
urgent.
name.
I
I
did
hope
not hear.
no, I hope you own the domain name, because if not, then the person who
Yes, we do.
okay,
We
okay,
do. We
because I
do.
know with the Reggae Boys logo, it seemed to be owned, and this is part of the thing. When we did some research, that the logo of the Reggae Boys is the ownership of it right now is with somebody who live in a Scandinavian country, and we have been
No, we own our IP. And there is a lot of speculation that is out there, but we have certification for the ownership of these things. So,
so the Reggae Boys is owned by the Jamaica
yes,
Football
yes,
Federation, not
yes.
just in Jamaica but in the rest of the world.
It's
Because
not,
you know that
I wouldn't say in the rest of the world because you have to register it and license it
in the
in
United States.
yes. So there are quite a few areas in which it is not. But we are working to see
All
if
right.
we can get it all over the world, as you have said.
But do you know that if you don't own it in the United, because there's a time when Captain Burrell was a president that it was owned by the JFF. They did not it was not renewed based on research that we have done, which means that somebody else could actually own it.
Right. Matter of fact, as I said, we have current certificates as it being owned, especially and registered in Jamaica. There are parts of it that needs to be sorted out, and we have been working on it with an international lawyer to get it registered and licensed internationally all over the world.
Okay. All right. Listen, people, please bear with us. There's a lot of questions. I mean, I try my best to get as many as possible. So I may go past yours, but I'll come back up. All right. So don't worry. We were informed that the JFF has requisite resources to fund its operation. Is this correct? I think Mr. Speed alluded to that in an interview. And based on the FIFA funds and the CONCACAF and the CFU, you have enough resources. Not that you don't need sponsorship, because but could you speak to that? Could you answer the question? We are informed that the JFF has the requisite resources to fund it.
The JFF is in need of money. A matter of fact, we did a budget for the very first time. The JFF has an approved budget that will start the 2022 campaign. That budget has a huge hole in the budget, and it needs to be filled by marketing. And so we recognize and we continue to speak to the fact that we need to outfit our marketing department to get them out there and earn in what we need to fill this gap that we have in this budget.
Okay, so if you get no money though, would you be able to complete the campaign debt free?
No. We need a lot of help. We need the government to come on board and to give us help, because we alone is not able to sustain the financial burden of this JFF.
Yeah, but you know what is happening? So there's a conflict in terms of responses, and I think there needs to be probably an alignment of thoughts, because there's a perception given that you have the resources necessary to fund the operation. But now, if no additional fund come in, you're saying that you would probably have a deficit.
Absolutely. The JFF campaign, as I alluded to, has in it for next year senior men that will engage not only in World Cup qualification, and when we do qualify, we have, if we qualify or when we qualify, then those burdens are much drastically reduced. But we do have even Nations League that starts in June. We have the senior women, we have the under 20 women, we have the under 17 women, we have the men for both 20 and 17, and the under 15 boys and girls for next year alone.
Okay.
And I tell you, air travel is not the same as 2 years ago. Hotel accommodation is not the same as 2 years ago.
Well, that segues right into this question, right? It segues right into this question. Has the JFF leadership ever taken or considered taking a pay cut to facilitate the proper operation of our program? If not, how could you ask the footballers to do so? And I think they're asking in terms of the leadership of the JFF. Have you guys?
We have never asked the footballers to take a pay cut. What we have done is to have a discussion. The fact is that we will not be able as an organization to pay you to play for this country. It's not about that. We offer you, I think, a very reasonable, and you have to make an offer according to your budget and your resources. You can't make an offer matching it with others people offer because you don't know their resources. You can't do that. I think the JFF, as a percentage of their budget, has made a very significant offer to our players. A matter of fact, I can tell you, if for this 3 games that is coming up, games that are coming up in January, we win all 3 games, a player could walk away with close to 2 million US dollars. Jamaican dollars, my
Oh,
apologies.
oh, if,
Jamaican dollars, right?
yes, that's
That is
like that's I mean like that's I mean for the people living in the United States, like the players, that's like 20,000, 18,000 US. So they will say that that's not a lot of money for them. It may be a
yeah,
lot of money for the man. For the man in England, 18,000 US, probably 12,000 pound, 12,000 pounds,
right,
or 10,000 pounds, 9,000 pounds is is probably for some of them, I don't know, probably a week's salary. But I
right.
do understand. I do understand the point. But in our mind, 2 million, wow, is not a lot of money because for a person who lives in the state and have to pay taxes on the house and thing, they may be saying
Mhm.
that's a lot of money, but they do it for the love of the country, and I do understand that. But um because I've often heard this at, like, I always try to find the details because I've heard people say, for example, that why so many persons travels like with the team when we're saying
Mhm.
that we don't have resources. Uh,
Mhm.
do we now look at how we construct our travel plans to have just the team and just necessary delegates travel? And I'm talking about from the U15s all the way to the national team as a way of cutting back our expenses. Maybe it has been done, but people don't know. Um, could you clarify that?
There are a lot that has been done, and people are trying to compare things. We keep on comparing things, and then we just take out a part and compare it.
Yeah.
We're saying $18,000 is a drop in the bucket as it relates to the United States. A United States delegation is maybe 3 times our delegation. Right? Understand that the United States budget is probably 1,000 times more than the budget of the JFF. The JFF has to operate within its resources. The fact is that our travel has to be something that is managed. All persons that travel in our delegation have their specific roles and responsibilities. Some of the things that you see happening in the United States, their president don't need to travel because their president does not do some of the things that our president has to be doing. That would be a staff or 3, 4 staff that would fill in the gap for a president or for a general secretary or for a vice president. Some of our persons that travel have 3 or 4 different functions. And that is why, and people are matching it to say, hey, remember, we have 23 players, only a maximum of 16 players or 17 maximum players that can play, but yet still we travel with 23. We have to do that because the fact is that you can have issues and you have to have training. The people have to be there to train. You can't have people training and training without resistance. You have to have the resistance for them to improve.
No, no, man. But Mr. Wint, I don't think the challenge people having is
No,
even if
I'm just
certain
trying to
players went.
explain to
I
you
don't think.
that
Yeah.
you can't just bring it down to bare bones. I'm saying to you, some of the things that is being managed by the persons that travel. Some persons travel with at least 2 or 3 responsibilities, instead of having a staff or 4 staff to cover that, you might have one person traveling, and people sees it as excessive.
Can
We
I,
travel with a delegation that has increased immensely for the past year. We used to travel normally with about 30, 33 persons, and we end up with about 45 persons traveling during this World Cup campaign.
I know with the pandemic, some of these things are inevitable. But let me ask this question: could there be, before you leave, whenever that is, whether junior team, male team, female team, a press conference that seeks to explain to the general public the delegation and the role of the individuals? So people will say, okay, that is because again, the idea of communication and transparency is important, because when people look and hear, well, we don't have enough money, but they hear that 45 people have gone on a trip, then there you can understand
I
that there's
understand. I understand. I do really understand.
yeah. For
Yeah.
example, I lead an organization, and if I leave with 12 persons, the first thing is going to be asked is, why did you take 12 persons with you?
Why
That's
didn't get 2? Are you alone traveling? And
exactly.
I understand that perfectly well.
So what will there be? Can we expect? Because I must say, at the appointment of Paul Hall, there was a press conference. Can we at least expect that going ahead, this is the modus operandi? It becomes the modus operandi of the JFF to have these press conferences, to be more transparent and to be able to answer the tough questions from the public, with a hope of creating honesty and transparency to remove the cloud of corruption that seems to permeate the mind of people as it relates to the JFF.
This is something that can be done, and we are trying to see how best we can address this. The fact is that press conferences is very important, and we are working to see how best we can get this happening more often.
Okay. No, all right. So I understand you're working to see let me ask you this, because you're working to make it. How difficult would it be for the game against Mexico there be a press conference?
I don't really see it as something that is difficult.
Okay.
So we just need to get it organized.
Okay. So we what I want the people to hear is that, listen, people, I'd love to hear from the general secretary. People, I am going to make it my duty to ensure that for the remainder of the World Cup qualifier, when we go, there is a there's a press conference and there's a post-match conference. So when we come back, we will come back to you. Win, lose, or draw, we will, yeah, because that is how I would say international football operates.
And to tell you the truth, that has happened, is that it's not publicized as it should. We do have a pre and a post press conference.
Oh, where is this normally done?
It's done through CONCACAF for one, for the post, and the pre is generally through the JFF, especially announcing the team.
Well, that is like a press conference, in my opinion, is where the press is invited, and maybe it is a JFF press. You invite the press, like what happened at the Paul Hall press conference, where people get to ask questions. Earl Bailey is there. They ask the questions. That is different from announcing the team, that here are the players who have been selected. That's a completely, I think that is different. Announcing of the team is not necessarily a press conference. It can be a part of it, but it doesn't. It is not. Is not the whole thing. It's just a part of the press conference. So what I am expecting is that my general secretary, my coach, and the captain of the team and the head of delegation will sit down and field questions from when we come back from the game, because what it is doing is also helping with the marketing that we are hearing from the players, we are hearing from the general sec, we are hearing from the press officer, we are hearing from the persons involved in the football, and we can ask them questions. We Because listen, um, when things happen on the flights and on the travel, like it can't be that when you come in at the airport, a reporter asks you a question, and that is it. That is good that they meet us here, but there is a next whole flood of media people, including the growing YouTube, the vlogging population, that believe that they have pertinent questions because of the coverage that they give to the sport. And so this is what I want, an assurance that going ahead, we can anticipate and expect that there will be uh, more press conferences of this nature from the JFF for the general public to consume.
It is something we'll take on board and have the discussion with our people.
Okay. All right. Wonderful. That is better. Someone is asking, do you have in place young persons who, like, who can possibly fill the gap? What is average? Let me ask this. What is the average age of the leadership of the JFF from board members up?
Board members, I don't understand, because the board members is where it actually, the higher than the board member is only Congress, and we don't determine Congress. But the fact is, are you speaking to the staff, or are you speaking about
Well,
the board?
I mean, I'm talking about the influencers of the process, which is the board of directors and the board members, meaning the parish presidents, the general the 20 persons who make up the board. How many persons 40 and under are on that?
I don't see anybody on the board that's on the party.
All right. So, because this is going to come to a very pertinent, where is the succession plan? Because some people believe that part of the problem is that it, I don't want to say, the the more mature minds are in the leadership, and so the youthful thoughts and approaches to the football are not being brought to the fore. Are there plans to probably invite and include probably like subcommittees of a younger population to kind of help, not necessarily decision making, but recommending bodies of younger persons to infuse the football at this point, at this juncture, instead of having just older generation?
What we have control of, we we have to work on. We have control of our staff. That is why a retirement policy has now been implemented at the JFF, so that we can get mind persons and young persons involved in the operation of the JFF. What you don't have control of is who is voted in as a president in parishes. That is controlled by the delegates in the parishes. The JFF at the board level cannot determine. What we have set out in our statute, though, is an age, an upper limit and a lower limit, right? In our draft statute, you can't be older than 75 and younger than 25, right? We are seeking to remove even that 25 and have it open. From you are eligible to vote, you are eligible to be a part of the JFF. But the fact is, as I said, it is difficult for you to have control of the aged person who, and at 50 is when you have a really matured mind. You have reached about that.
So, I mean,
JFF management.
you have just excluded me from the mature mind, so I can't agree with that. I definitely can't agree with that, because I think I have a very mature mind. I can't agree with that. You just disrespect everybody between 40 and 49. That can't
But
be.
the fact is, you have to get elected in your parish before you can represent the JFF on the board.
But here's the
So
thing, though.
that change needs to take place, not at the JFF board, but at the parish level.
All right, but here's why it needs to take place from the head. because
Right.
changes can be made from the. It's hard to change things when it comes on to voting.
Right.
How does a 25-year rule ascend to parish presidency when the process itself is different in Westmoreland, in Hanover? It's right across the amount of people who vote, how you get involved. Why can't there be a systematic voting process, nomination process, number of voters right across the parish? Why can't we structure it that in St. Anne people know there are 50 votes, the elections are held this amount of time, and here is, and everybody knows that information. That means if I am in Canada and I am a Jamaican, I can come and run my campaign. Are there plans to do that? So right across the system, from Westmoreland to from the Western Confed to the St. Thomas Confed, from the east to the west, there is one electoral process for parish presidency that opens the door for the 25-year-old businessman, lover of football, to run as a parish president without owning a football team.
Management, I think you are getting some inside information from the
No,
jail.
don't matter get me in problem.
Is that this is something that has been sent to FIFA. An electoral code is a part of our statute that has been presented to FIFA, where what things that you have raised is a part of it, including term limit, including age, including women on the board, all of those things are something that forms part of our thing. Integrity checks, all of those things, man. And as I said, it will come in effect during the tenure of this present administration.
Okay, so people can look forward to the next set of because this is the next thing, Are all the parish elections held at the same time?
Not at the same time, but they have, remember, they are mandated, and if they fall foul of this, they can be held accountable. 90 days after the JFF election, all parishes must, and it's not shall, it must have their election. And embedded in the statute that is being revised and put forward to FIFA and is being reviewed is, as I said, an electoral code that speaks to how parish should operate, how members are nominated, how their statute should look like. Because we will create a generic statute that must have certain things in it that all parish is common among all parishes. That
Okay.
is coming.
All right, wonderful. That is administration. Now we need to get to some. We have a limited time left because I'm gonna have to get you back, Because listen, if I don't, the people are going to be vexed with me. So we have to make for a part two because the amount of questions that are here, I don't know how I'm going to do it. All right. So now there has been this big debate about players born outside of Jamaica wanting to represent Jamaica, and then players born in Jamaica from the U15 all the way up, male and female. I will say we don't have this issue on the female side because most of our females are out of Jamaica. A lot of them were not born here. But on the male side, it always seemed to be like a conflict in the eyes of the people. All right? In terms of what is your take in terms of players born in England wanting to represent Jamaica, or born in America or in Sweden wanting to represent Jamaica? Third generation, fourth generation kids wanting to represent Jamaica. What is your feel on that and your take on that?
What is man? Imagine you decide for a better life to go live in Sweden and you have a child in Sweden. Wouldn't you want that child to represent your country?
Definitely. They're American. I want to represent them.
Another thing, we can't keep asking. One of our our resources to this country's GDP is remittance. We can't be asking, and a matter of fact, you alluded to the diaspora about supporting the program. You can't want these people money to be invested and don't want their child or their children to participate in representing the country in ice hockey, in football, in cricket. You have to give equal opportunity if they match what is happening here in Jamaica. The fact is, if we don't develop our football to the level that it ought to be on the world stage, we will continue to see the proliferation of foreign based players in our national team. We need to improve the product here, and it has started. The work has started. You mentioned you had Andrew here. Andrew is a young mind. These are the young minds that we are putting in. That, as I mentioned, I said we want to have control or do something about the things that we have control over. Staffing is what we have control over. If you notice, it is young minds that we are bringing in into the JFF, educated minds. We're bringing in into the JFF. One such is Andrew Beard that leads our coaching school. Andrew don't have all the knowledge, but what he has is the appetite to go there and seek the knowledge and bring it back to us. If we improve coaching and improve our facilities, that is on our agenda to improve our facilities. But we're starting with what we can start with, and it's improving our coaches. If we improve our coaches, I am perfectly optimistic that we will improve the amount of Jamaican based players participating in our national programs.
Okay. All right. So, Oyini Blake, and this is someone, I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he, along with Simon Preston from Reggae Boys Commentary, I will say they have the large database of all I would say not all, but most of the players who are born in England who have Jamaican connection, meaning could represent Jamaica. All right. So his question is asking, please, Mr. Wint, please tell us which Jamaican-born players are in the UK in the EPL and Championship and EFL leagues. So the question is, do you know all the players who tell us which Jamaican born? I don't know if he means. I think what he means is that people who are of Jamaican descent play.
Absolutely not. That is why I started out to say that I don't know everything. And what I do know is that you need to have help and support. We have the help and support. We have an agent in England, Mr. Winston Clark, that assists with us. I get almost daily names and requests from agents and players and parents asking to represent the national team. Some are in championship, some are in Premier League, some are in, well, not really from Premier League, but for the most part championship and below that. We're getting requests for players. What we do is to try and find out if they are persons that can assist the program, right? And if they can, then we pass that over to our agent Winston, who does the basic groundwork and start the process of engaging these players, having discussion with their agent. Then we'll have a discussion at our level. The president, along with the coach and myself, would have discussion to see if there are persons that we are really interested in and to see their level of commitment. Then we assist with the process of getting them eligible to participate.
But so you have no reservations about them playing and representing Jamaica, though.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. What we want to do is to get the best players representing the country, be it a Jamaican born or a European or an American or an Australian born. The best a person must represent the country.
All right. You also know that there are other, like Oyini Blake is one. You have a Devon Porter, Simon Preston. There are many other people who have contact with players, with clubs, with agency, that could help. Even former players. Why have we made it like the sole responsibility of Mr. Clark in England in terms of making the connection between people there and here, when there are other persons who may have way more information than he does? I don't know. I'm assuming, because I know like these guys, they are always online talking about this player, about the Tyreek Mitchell, the Nathan Ferguson, the Mason Greenwood, the Demari Grays. These guys are speaking about these players, the kid Taylor Hart, all of these guys that they know, they check out, they have all the facts, all the information. Is there even a forum then? Even if is there a forum where the JFF would want to invite and include these people in the process of helping to source or connect them with some of these players over there in England?
I receive calls and emails and WhatsApp from all of these players in the industry that you have mentioned. So they come to us, which is the source, with the point of contact, and then you don't want 10 different persons contacting a person in England or a person. I can tell you, there are at least 5 players playing in the Canadian national team that has Jamaican heritage. Why weren't these players mentioned to us? There are players in Panama, Costa Rica, that has Jamaican connection. I'm saying what we need to do is to get them. It's just not just the UK. What we have is one person speaking to these persons. It makes a lot of sense. You can't have 10 different persons calling the same agent and to say they are representing Jamaica. We don't exclude no one from this process. Absolutely no one. They call in, we receive the information, we vet it as much as we can, and then we pass it to one source.
Okay, all right. So
the help from these persons are welcome.
Yeah,
okay. I'm saying, let us not zero in on just the English-based players.
No, man,
definitely. You and I know that if we have gotten even 2 or 3 of these Canadian players that are playing for Canada, it would have made a lot of difference to our team.
So here's the question. There's a Devon Porter who has worked with the JFF in Canada, for an example. Jamaica has tons. Altiman Butler, Paul Young, Andy Williams, Robin Fraser. All of these guys are Tyrone Marshall, Gregory Mason, Desmond Simmons. All of these guys are in the United States.
Absolutely.
Right? Coaching in the leagues. We have players there. So I am saying that which is what this person is asking. Do we have a comprehensive, well-defined process to identify players outside of Jamaica, assess their ability, and be able to bring them into the program? Is the process clearly outlined so we can all just follow a particular process? Because trust me, in this time when people are fighting and vying and trying to get the talent everywhere, one person is not sufficient in my estimation.
You're not getting it, It is not one person. I said all the persons that you mentioned. There's only one source, and that's the JFF. They must come to the JFF. Then that information is vetted, and in the UK, if, for instance, a supporter who lives in Canada says he wants to work and see what he can do with the Canadian-based players, and that's not an issue there. But you have a person who have been tested and proven for years now. You point that to that person. I am saying no information is ignored from Simon or whoever.
Yeah.
What happens though, you can't have everybody speaking to, or 10 different persons speaking to an agent or a club. You must assign one such person. And for the time being, that person is Mr. Clark.
Okay, so what you're saying is that once we have established that this person can represent Jamaica,
Yes.
Official line of communication is not
Yes.
for management to call them and say, listen, I'm calling from the JFF.
Yes.
Call must be made by Mr. Clark. Right?
Exactly, my friend.
All right, so fine.
Because here we'll have a lot of problems if you have 10 different persons
Totally understand. Calling the
saying all
president.
different things.
Yeah.
We'll give you a charter jet. We do all sorts of this for you to come and play for Jamaica. You don't need a passport, all of these things.
All right. So here's the one thing though that we need to make clear in the process, because this
Yeah.
is what the question is about. So say I have a relationship. I know let me call I don't Jordan Cousins. Let's use that name.
Yes.
All right. I call and I say, Mr. Wint, listen, this player, his name is so and so. He plays for this. He's connected. He wants to come and represent Jamaica. All right.
Right.
What happens when I give you that information?
That information is passed to the technical department, and then they will start the discussion.
So the
Then
technical,
that discussion is fed back to me and said, hey, the court says that Mr. Cousins could help the team. We need to set up a meeting with Mr. Cousins. That information is fed to Mr. Clark to say, hey, get in touch with Mr. Cousins, the club, his agent, and let us have this conversation.
what if it's a player that the technical committee has never watched or never seen?
Well, they will have to do their homework because information is there. If I mention the name of John Doe,
All right, let me give you a name. Kyle Walker Peters. Kyle
I've
Walker.
heard that name.
Yes.
But the fact is that Kyle Walker would have gotten clips of Kyle playing. Those are sent to our technical department. Right? Then we must ascertain whether or not Kyle, because a lot of names that have been called and sent to the JFF, we have reached out to these players. They will say to you, well, we're not ready yet, because they are and think or their agent has a different plan for them in terms of playing for Britain, for England. So we might find out that they have Jamaican heritage, yes, which is true. But are they committed to play for Jamaica? No. A lot of names that has been called, especially those in the EPL, have no interest in playing at this time for Jamaica. They have no interest, zero interest.
At this time. All right, totally understand. But so I give you the information, you reach out to the player.
Right.
The player, through your agent, says, we are not interested.
Yes.
Remember, I gave you the information. If you
Right.
don't communicate to me, you know what? I am going to walk away thinking you never did anything. Right? Only 5 years down the road to hear the player said, boy, I'd love to play for Jamaica. All right? So it is very important that the JFF also, that once the information is passed to you, that whatever decision the technical committee makes, if the technical committee says, listen, this don't need to go to Winston, we don't want the player, that the person who provide the information be given that information. If it passes the technical committee, the contact is made with Mr. Clark, and Mr. Clark says the player is not interested, then it must come back to the original source, because the original source will feel like I gave them a name and I don't hear anything.
The truth is that, yes, that can happen, but the fact is that what you don't want to do is
I don't think
damage.
it's Mr. Wint. I think though.
You have to be careful,
Yes.
The product out there is the players.
Yeah.
You don't want to damage that product, because the player might not come up front and to say to you, I'm not interested in playing for Jamaica. So you don't want to go back and to say, and it is out there saying that John Tom says he doesn't want to play for Jamaica. He will not tell you that up front. What will happen? He will buy some time. You will send the information to him and say, here is the information that you need to supply for us to move forward in getting your citizenship. They miss all the appointments. They do all the things. They refuse calls. They don't respond to emails. They don't respond to WhatsApp. So they have not said to you, I am not interested at this time.
Okay.
But their behavior tells you that there is limited interest.
Suggest, not tell. Suggest.
Right.
But
So we have to be careful
all right.
how we treat with that situation, because the fact is, look at, we have players who we have reached out to, and some time ago, and they did not respond positively, and now they are a part of the setup now, presently.
All right. So let me say this to you. But even if the person is circumventing the phone call, let's use that let's use the person is circumventing I'm going to assume that they have been missing the calls. All I'm saying though is that what the JFF should do is say, listen, management, Ohini Blake, Devon Porter, we have reached out to the player. In due time, we will get back to you. All right. But it must be that the person who provided the information gets some sort of communication back from the JFF, or else they're going to walk away thinking that they are being completely ignored. One person in the comment section spoke about Buchanan, who played for Canada. And the person said that they had told the JFF about Buchanan and he was ignored. No, you see what that means? Maybe the JFF, I don't know, made contact with his agent and he said he's not interested. But because nobody got back to the person said that they were ignored.
And I perfectly understand that. You see why we have to zero in on who are the persons that the contact must come to. You said the JFF, and it could have gone to anybody in the JFF.
All right. So who
it must come through the secretariat. That is presented to the technical department, because I don't have the skill and the expertise to determine whether a player is good enough to play. So I will have to.
So what people know, whether youth, male or female, from junior to senior, if there's a player, they need to email the JFF at, and General Secretary, is there an email address that they can reach out to you at?
Yes, they can reach out to me at general.secretary at jff.live. Live.
All right, let's make sure we get this email. So if there is a player that they have, that is it, right? General Secretary at jff.live. If there's a player anywhere in the world that has Jamaican connection and they need to email you the player's info, you will then pass this on to the technical committee. The technical committee will review it, come back to you based on their review, and then you in turn, if the player is in the United Kingdom, pass that on to Winston Clark, who will reach out to the player's agent. All right. What if the player is not in England?
Then that person is contacted.
By who?
Because there's another contact in the JFF that you can send this information to, because it can be copied directly to Mr. Wendell Downswell. And it's Wendell.Downswell at jff.live.
Wendell, hold on. How many? One L at the end?
Two.
Two L's. Wendell dot
Downswell.
Yes. Dot JFF Live.
Yes. No man. Wendell.Downswell at JFF.live. Just like what you have on the screen for mine.
Okay. All right. So that is so you can also copy Wendell.
Or write him directly. Or write Wendell directly.
Or write him directly.
Yes.
All right. So if the person is outside of the United Kingdom, then Mr. Downswell or someone else within the JFF will reach out to the player's agent.
Right.
All right. All right. And then from there on the process. So given some of the names you have heard from the U15 to the senior team, this is the process that has been working. Do
Right.
you think there needs to be tweaks in the process? Or
Absolutely.
you think the process has been working effectively?
It has worked to its limited capacity. But the fact is that there is always room for improvement. There is always room for improvement. And we do not ignore any suggestion coming forward, because these are some of the things that we act upon to improve our operations at the JFF. Nothing is ignored.
Okay. All right. Um so there are so many things. Um all right. So let me tell you.
I want you to recognize though, my phone is ringing off the hook. Although the office officially closed, my job doesn't close.
All right.
It's
All right.
constant,
I
right?
do understand because you have been on for a while and
Yeah.
there are so many questions. I'm going to ask you if you can just give us 14 more minutes and then we close. 14 more, that can work?
Yes, I think
All
that
right.
can.
All right. And then we'll do a part. A part. We'll try to arrange for you to come back, and we'd love to also speak to Mr. Clark if you can make arrangements for that, so that because people like this involved in the process, we'd love for them to be um transparent as well and be open to the people. But let me give you this one, because people are insisting, Mr. Wint, that there have been players like this one. Mr. Wint, that is not true. There are players who have declared their interest in the media in England. Are you aware that 2 players from Manchester United declared, and 2 from Aston Villa declare that they are interested? The thing is that I don't know if this is at the youth level. Can you explain if this is at the youth level or at the senior level? Because it may be youth players declare their interest, and this is suggesting that they have not been contacted.
I can tell you, any player that declares their interest. Remember, social media, I can go on social media and write anything I want to write.
Yes.
But the proof of the taste of the pudding is in the eating. The fact is that all players that shows an interest is contacted. Some through their agent, some through their parents, some directly. The fact is that some will tell you in indirect way that, listen, I still have an opportunity to play for England. They will not come out and say that on social media and say all of these things. But Jamaica is plan B for some of these persons.
Yes. Okay, but yeah, and fine. Like, I mean, I can understand, but it still remains an option. And at some point, those players may say, "Okay, all right, don't look like this England thing is working out." I don't. I mean, so I want to represent Jamaica, which is
Yes.
fine. But there have been players like Ben Godfrey is an example. Ben Godfrey had interest in representing Jamaica. Mikel Antonio said that he had interest. Anthony Grant as well, 17 years ago, had interest in representing Jamaica. So some of these players were, I don't know if the
All right.
same.
If you are interested, man, to play for Jamaica, and it takes you 17 years to get your passport, is that really interest?
No, but if I reach out to you and you say that, listen, and if I reach out to you and I say, listen, I reach out to you and say, listen, I want to represent the country, and you never get back in touch with me. What? And I do it again, and you don't get back in. You do it, you don't get back in touch with me. It's almost like you ignore me. Why would I then go ahead with the process? I do
I
agree.
don't know what took place before. But as
Okay.
I said, if you're interested to play for the national team, there are certain things that you must do for yourself. And we'll tell you the steps that needs to be taken. We have a few players right now, both male and female, who have said that they are interested, and we have reached out to them, and they have an appointment at the consulate in England right now that they have not fulfilled their appointment. Some of the names that you have called, right?
Yes.
They do have an appointment that they need to just fill out a form and go and have this interview. They have not done that. The JFF cannot do anything without them doing that part of it.
All right. All right. I have two more. Kyle Walker Peters has said that he would play for Jamaica. He just needs a call.
Mhm.
I heard him say that. The question is, has he received that call? Are you aware? I'm asking, are you aware if he has received any such call?
Kyle Walker Peters.
He plays for Southampton now. He was a Tottenham Hotspur player, but he's a starting. I think he plays left back, but he can play right back.
Let me make sure, but that name has rang a bell.
Name has been given to even Mr. Speed before.
Yes, that name has rang a bell. And Kyle Walker, I promise you, if he has not been contacted, he will be contacted. But I am almost certain that Mr. Peters has been contacted.
You can't use it. You say, I am sure. You have to say, I am sure.
No, I will not speak.
That's the name of the channel. You can't say,
I am the person who makes that contact directly.
Okay. Okay. All right. So we'd love for you to do that, and then you can text me back so I can talk to the people. That contact was made with
Kyle Walker Peters.
Nathan Redmond also. I remember during when
I know when Nathan has been contacted.
Okay. Okay.
I'm certain of that.
I know that he said he wanted to speak to the coach. He came out publicly and said that. And the coach at that time was Coach Theodore Whitmore.
Yes.
All right. But you said that he has been contacted. All right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm trying to bring up names because there are names out there that they have come out publicly and shared that they have some interest in representing, some interest in representing Jamaica, right? And we also gave the president Kyle Walker Peters' name, right? Yeah, all right. So we it's a lot we're putting on you, Mr. Wint.
Yes, I understand that. You remember that question you asked about players outside of Jamaica representing the country?
Yes.
You can imagine if we have all of these players play, would we have one Jamaican-born player playing?
Oh, player born in Jamaica playing? I think, listen, here's what I think. I think we will always have talent. I think like whomever you get, Andre Blake is a quality player. He's going to be in your team. Leon Bailey is going to be in your team. Shamar Nicholson is going to be in your team. I think Devon Speedy William has proven himself to be a good player. He's going to be in your team. Kemar Taxel Lawrence is a very good player. Javian Brown is a very good player who can be in your team regardless of where other people are. Damian Lowe is a very good player who, regardless of where people are coming from, I believe that presently we have good players born in Jamaica and outside of Jamaica.
If we have gotten all of these players, 4 from Canada, US, America, US, places in South America, all over the world, I am certain, and I'm talking these players are playing at the top level. We're struggling to have Jamaican-born players play.
Are you saying that you have a problem with that?
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying, the question was put forward about us having local-based players and the proliferation of overseas-based players. Remember that question was posed?
Yes, but you already stated you have
I'm
no
saying, right. So
I
I'm
am
saying,
saying to you, there's no way at Jamaica, like no matter how good the players are, Demar Gray comes in, Leon Bailey still gets into that squad. Shamar Nicholson still get into that squad. Andre Blake still get into that squad. I think Javin Brown can find his way in there. Kemar Lawrence, Damian Lowe can find his way in it. And I think I said Andre Blake, even Speedy Williams. However, it will be more competitive. It will be more competitive.
it depends on who is the coach.
Yeah. And
It depends on who is the coach.
yeah, that is true.
It depends who you want.
Players who he wants. All
Because
right.
you might have a coach that says he will not choose any player that is less than championship and they must play in the UK because his belief is that they are better than or they are better coached than other players. So it depends on the coach that you have in place.
All right. Oyini Blake, I'm going to ask this one because we only have people. Listen, Mr. Wint we're going to try to get him back because there is like, and Mr. Wint, here's what I'm going to ask you to do. If you could watch the stream, right? I know it's 2 hours and there are so many questions, so you'd be equipped to answer some of them. But Oyini said that he has sent you emails about players. He has handwritten an email and you have not responded to any of those emails, right? He says, here it is. He says, I have written to you personally earlier this year to your email. I have delivered the letter in writing to the JFF head office. To date, you have not paid the curiosity of a response. What say you?
Well, the fact is that
You wanted
I've
to
not
email it
seen
today?
that.
You wanted to send by the email today?
Right. I have not seen, and the fact is that, as I said, all requests are sent to my technical department. The moment I receive an email, it is sent to Mr. Dalton and members of my technical department immediately for them to respond. If there is no response, it's not from me. They are
No,
the
it's
one.
from you because the email was not sent to them.
Yes, and I
email was sent to
forward,
you. Yeah.
I forward and copy these. If I am forwarding, they know who it is sent to. Because in my response to them, it is sent to.
Yeah. So what I would say is then,
Because
if someone
management,
send me an email,
that I get tons of emails.
yeah, man, and I know that.
And I
You're
have to
a
ask
general
for
secretary.
from other persons.
Yeah, man, you're a general secretary. So what I would suggest is, like, if I get, because I'm like you, like people get upset with me, and what I've learned to do is this: receive their email with thanks, or I'll say forwarded to the technical committee.
Exactly.
And that is a standard response if it is for a particular thing. I am saying
Exactly.
that is what the person is asking. They are not asking a thing for a detailed answer, but for a response.
Yes.
And
that's no issue with that. Absolutely no issue with that.
Right. So I think so. Mr. Blake, send him the email again today, and
yes.
then.
And I've not seen this handwritten email from Mr. Blake.
He says you have not seen the handwritten. So make sure you do it and copy me on it, Mr. Blake, so that I can know that you actually sent it to the email address that I have up there. But here's the next thing, Mr. Wint. There's also and this is the players we are giving you are players that we believe the team need to upgrade in, like right back or left back, holding midfielder, which is a Lewis Baker, a former Chelsea player.
You can imagine now the coach have 6 games to go and to take 6 different players into these games.
We're not giving you 6, we're giving you 3.
Even 3? The fact is that the coach has to decide who he wants, not me.
Yeah, that is true, but that's how we just remember we are like the technical committee, the recommendation board, you know.
Yeah, you send that recommendation to a technical department. The technical department will reach out to the coach. We think that John can offer service to the national team coach. What do you think?
Yeah, man, totally fine.
Yes. If coach has no interest at this time, he will say that to the technical department.
And which is fine. I would find it hard to believe that the coach would not have any interest in a Kyle Walker-Peters, a Demari Gray, and a Lewis Baker, though, given the present construct of our team. Because I think those are 3 areas we need an upgrade. All right. And so we're not giving you, we would not give you 10 names, but people, listen, I did ask Mr. Wint for 14 more minutes, and it is 14 more minutes. Mr. Wint, couple of things. I want to thank you for being on and for being open to answering the questions, right? I mean, not everyone maybe may all agree with everything, but I like the fact that you came on and you responded. I have learned a whole lot by listening to you this morning, and I really, really appreciate you coming on. Listen, I mean, again, I may not be in total agreement of where the program is at right now, but you guys are working. So you guys are working, and there are changes, and there are more changes that needs to take place. And I hope that some of the conversations we have this morning will give you some ideas that may be implemented for the betterment of football in Jamaica generally. I know that you guys are here because you want what is good for football. So I want to give you the opportunity to close off. Give your final words to the person who's listening, and then probably promise me when we can get a second interview. I'd love to hear from Mr. Clark as well, that Mr. Winton Clark, to kind of help us to understand better his role there. But go ahead and give us your final thoughts, sir.
I must say to you, management, that it is an absolute pleasure to be on your program this morning. And to your viewers and listeners, we do appreciate your comments and your questions. It is the JFF is not infallible. The JFF is a work in progress. The JFF understands the responsibility that is placed upon the JFF. And it means that all stakeholders is a part of the JFF. And we cannot go forward by ignoring you. We have never done that, and we will never do that. We might not be able to address all of your questions and concerns immediately, but they are taken into consideration. And we want you to continue to support the program in a positive way. Yes, the negative things are there, and they are part of what makes up this program. But the fact is that we want to work with you. We want you to continue to support the program. But the fact is, if you cuss and disagree with what is happening at the JFF, don't stop supporting the JFF. The JFF was here before my tenure, and it will be here long after my tenure. Continue to be a supporter, continue to do what you're doing, and make sure what you're doing for this country will form a positive thrust in getting the JFF to where you wanted to see it go.
All right, wonderful. Thank you so much. Listen, and if you have time, please go through, listen to the email, look at some of the comments, and please just promise me that management soon I will come back and talk to you again. All right. What also somebody's asking what kind of engineer you are, if you're a computer engineer, chemical engineer, a civil
I'm an electrical engineer.
electrical engineer. So he's the man that will come around and pass your house when you're in your gym. Yeah, man. But thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day, sir. All the best to you and your family for the rest of the year, and we hope to talk soon. I always like to say, listen, in spite of all that is happening, you are in a job that is it is very, very important, but comes with harsh criticisms, and that's just the way it is. So you take care, continue to strive for excellence, and give 100%. And everybody will never agree with you, but if you continue to be diligent in what you do and seek the best interests of people, then things will things will turn around and leave a legacy. I'd love to know that when this administration is out, that people can look back and say, listen, under their leadership, here are some of the things that change. So, because good leadership leaves a legacy.
Absolutely.
Legacy. So I hope that's, that your legacy will be one that people can at least acknowledge 30 years from now. So again, thank you again for your time. Really appreciate you coming on. And I'll look forward to talking with you again about Jamaica's football. Please check out some of the names. Maybe they are Kyle Walker Peters, Louis Baker, and Damari Gray. I think the president had said that Damari Gray stuff are in place. So if you could write them out, and there are many, players. There are many persons out there again, and really look at my idea. Go up to UTech, man. There are many computing people up there who would, because at UTech, and this, they send you out, you go by system control at JPS, go to your internship, you understand how it works.
Absolutely.
And,
Absolutely.
and you just give them a little stipend. There's a lot of people up at UTech right now who would love the opportunity to build the website for you as part of their internship and manage it, and then you can see how good it is and pay them. So maybe that's an option as well.
But matter of fact, that we have a website, and you alluded to it. It's just that it's down now, and it's because of hosting issue. So we'll sort that out and very soon. But again, I use the opportunity to wish all your viewers a prosperous 2022. And what I want for you to commit for me is that your support for the program will never waver, and you'll be safe and come over and join us in 2022 as we push to get Jamaica's football to the level where it ought to be.
Yeah, man. Blessings again, and thank you. All right, Mr. Wint. Again, thank you so much for coming on. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we look forward to talking with you again. Look out for some emails, because persons will email you the information. So I'm going to put back up the email address that they can dialogue with you. Mr. Blake says that he's going to email you. So that's the emails here from Mr. Wendell Downswell. And then I'm going to also put back up the one for Mr. Wint. So you can send him information, and he commits to responding, even if it is saying forwarded to the relevant department of the JFF.
Absolutely. And if you notice, that email address does not have my name in it, because it's an email address that will continue to the life of the JFF. That's a decision that I took. That the General Secretary's email will continue whether or not I am sitting in that chair. That should be the JFF General Secretary's email.
Yeah. Okay. So it doesn't come directly to you.
It comes to me, and I manage it for the time being, because I am the General Secretary. But I'm hoping that when I leave this chair, because I must leave this chair, so that person will be able to have that continuity with that email address.
Yeah. And I use like for the people up there. Listen, and I can give some. And there are many people in here. I use like Gator. To host website. Because someone do, like I says, Mr. Wint, I tell you, like today, you could call one person and you have your website with pictures, everything, all your
Absolutely. I know.
Today, brand new website functioning and today. So,
it's just a contractual agreement we need to work through with our host, and we'll get that thing up and
yeah, man.
All right.
All right then. Blessings.
Good.
All the best. Yeah, man.
Take care.
All right, there you go, people. I want to thank every single one of you for joining in, for sticking and staying. I know that there are many questions that I may not have been able to get out. We're going to try and get Mr. Wint back on again. It is a very it's a whole lot. It's a whole lot to talk about the administrative side, the football inside, the future of the football, all of those things. but I think for this interview, we have gotten enough information to make an assessment. I, I think the best thing you can do is simple. Listen to people and make your assessment. Don't ever jump to conclusion. I always tell people where experience don't meet expectation, fill the gap with trust. All right. So now that you have information, you should be better able to evaluate and make an assessment of the functionaries within the JFF. You have heard from Mr. Speed, you have heard from the president, you have heard from the general secretary. I'm hoping that we can get the Winston Clark, the Wendell Downswell, we can get different persons on to kind of get all parties out to speak, right? I think they're asking me to open the stream. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can pin this link and see if we can have a discussion, very open, honest, respectful discussion. Remember, if you're going to come on, it's only a certain amount of persons can come on at a time, number one, and you have to have good background, open camera, and an open mic. All right. So I'm going to give around a next, we're going to go up to 30 minutes more, which would make it 19 minutes to get some thoughts from some of our persons in the comment section. So that's the link in the comment section. You can jump on. What I'll also do is also pin it. I am so sorry that I didn't, like I said, get to answer all the questions that you may have posed, but please, send him an email. Send an email and yeah, and let's see what happens. That's the best we can do. All right. We're working on also getting on Paul Hall for you one of these days. As many of the persons involved in the football, we want to hear from them. So yeah. So if you want, you can jump on and be a part of the discussion. You know. So the link has been pinned. Yes, sir.
Yeah, what you doing, man?
I'm doing well, man.
Well, I listened to your interview just now, and these interviews, as I said, you need a lot more time than what, because a lot of the questions is just being breezed over, to be honest with you, because a lot of the points can be argued a lot more out, because is that one thing I noticed with everybody from the JFF that you have interviewed, or who is in the hierarchy, is that it's almost like a two-sided story to me, because when you ask the question, everybody agrees with you that the best players should play for Jamaica, right? But before the show is over, they're the same one who is saying that, oh, if we call everybody, nobody from Jamaica would play. Like, I am from Jamaica. I am Jamaica. First of all, Mr. Wint know who I am, because I'm from Mandeville. He was my president at Manchester. We used to be in our little runnings at New Green. We used to run what used to be the best club down
Yes,
there, and we used to have a
sir.
lot of problems.
Sir Christopher. The panel the comment people are asking for you to identify yourself.
I'm Christopher Wright. I said it at the beginning.
Okay, Christopher Wright. Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead. Yeah.
Presently in Brooklyn, but from Manchester. So as I say, I knew Mr. Wint like that. But I'm just saying that I don't get where everybody comes on and say, oh, the best players should play. But before the conversation is done, they're still saying, oh, if we should call everybody from the recommendations that they get, who from Jamaica would play. So I'm still puzzled, like, why say the best players must play, but local players, we know, you see, if we should call, we're not going to get everybody to play. Brazil, England have a lot of players. They can't call everybody. And And the other point that I wanted to make is that this is not rocket science. You call Whitmore in the Mexico game brought on 4 right backs. That is his thinking, which I can't figure out, but he's a coach. I can't do anything about it. But I'm just saying that if you call 6 right backs, right, the coach must narrow down to say, okay, I need a right back, a cover, and somebody who can be, a distributive player, like you use him wherever. That's the coach's decision. But what I'm saying is that we are not the coach. We are only recommending some players, put them in the pool. When management, I understand that you used to be the coach of Prairie, right? Because we were in the Super League and we heard of you through other people from Ochi. But what I'm saying, when you have a team, you call up a squad for training, right? Then you select who is going to make the team, who can register. But just in case, you have to have other players in mind if they don't go play for somewhere else. This is a national team. Yeah. If they commit to play for Jamaica and they don't get called up this time around, then down the line, they're in better form. Some players get injured. You still can call in that same player. It sounds as if we just only want a narrow pool. Like, give the players a chance. They want to play. Let them go through the process. As I said, as the Cataract come on, I've been listening to Cataract since this UT thing come, and he's been talking about Anthony Grant. And everybody denied the fact. I don't know how true it is, but I trust what Cataract said. The guy on the program just said 17 or 15 years the guy is trying. And nobody, Mr. Wint wasn't there for 15 years, but I'm just saying this seems like it's a JFF issue. If the players want to commit, let them commit and then the coach take it from there. Because obviously they're saying that a lot of the players don't want to play.
Listen.
But after the England call-up...
Hold on, Keter. Hey, remember, we only have a limited time left at this.
No, I'm going to finish now. Yes. I'm saying, if the England call-up don't come and they're still good enough to represent Jamaica, I don't think we have a choice than to take them. But I'm saying Anthony Grant, nobody knew about Anthony Grant. And he came, and to me, he was the best player for me. Other than he's not scoring, but he's the best player for me. So that's my point that I was making. As I said,
All right.
So
Go ahead, Cataract, and then we hear from Cranky and then Dre Anyweather as well.
Yeah, but you can't limit that show, you know. So I don't know unless a Jesus a call himself. You have to go run that show, you know, brother. Because listen, the president of the Jamaica Football Federation came on last week, I think it was, and he was most honest. He was honest in where he has fallen down. He was honest regarding where there are weaknesses. And he committed to improvement. He committed to meeting with us, the YouTubers, and a dialogue and a framework to work together to improve. I was heartened. I went into the Christmas, on a up. Today, the General Secretary has come on this program and brought me back down to earth. He has been mendacious, less than familiar with the truth, and I can't have that. So I'm taking this my open opportunity to say the following. I wrote to Mr. Wint regarding Anthony Grant. I took a letter in person, delivered it, had it signed. I sent the letter to his WhatsApp. You know what Mr. Wint did? And I'm going to expose you because I know people. You laughed with a colleague and said, where this old man a go? That's what you did, sir. You did not write an acknowledged receipt, neither on WhatsApp, email, or in hard copy. We took other routes, and management, you are aware of some of the other routes because you were most instrumental and helpful. So for the General Secretary to come on World Wide Web, I am going to expose you and say that you respond and you don't ignore. Yes, you do, sir. You also ignored Ben Godfrey's email that came from the coach at Leeds and the coach at York because they both went to the Yorkshire Post and showed them the emails that they sent to you, Mr. Wint, 5 years ago, I think it was, or 4 years, when Ben Godfrey was 50, or how much ever, 6 years when he was 15. Ben is like 21. And you did not respond to two coaches who are, this is not cataract, these are coaches who are certified pro licensed coaches. York City, Leeds Academy, you didn't respond to any of them. The people said that the coach from York City said, and I quote, Ben Godfrey is not on the radar of England, but based on my professional assessment, Jamaica would be stupid to ignore a player who will become a Premier League starter. You recall that? I think, man, I shared the article with you way back when. So don't do that. Come and say you have made mistakes, but don't come here and gloss over things. And I know Stan Cranky have something for say. Somebody back, man, say. So the final thing, the only thing I've managed, man, up for I want to say it's a well executed, well done interview. But I don't know why you try to interpret my question for let up, Mr. Speed. Right? Because I ask you for ask you no, but ask you for hold on, Madins. Hold on 1 second. I asked a question. I put the thing in bold. I asked him to name me the Jamaican born, not Jamaican eligible, the Jamaican born players. Right? Because he does not know, nor does Winston Clark. And so they both have to go. Mr. Cranky.
So my name's man. I was actually getting ready to do some work, and I got a text that you were on a little bit late. So I dropped my work because I'm very interested in this, and I got to go back to my work as soon as I'm done. But I'm really off, but I have to do work. So even some people take vacation, they have to still work. I'll say a couple of things. This is an example of how we are. It's a larger societal question, man. Football is just a synopsis or a symptom of a large problem we have as a people. Why do I say that? So we as a country are exporters of human capital, right? Unlike most other countries, think about industrialized countries, you don't have to go anywhere to go generate resources to live. We export human capital. We export a lot of it. We have as much people external to Jamaica as we have in Jamaica itself. And the number will keep on growing and expanding, not lessening. Jamaica population has been 3 million for the last 25 years. That number isn't growing because of exporting, not because of, you know what, we're not generating enough birth rate. And so you're telling the people who have left the country, men who still support the country in many ways, shape, or form. Mr. Wint was smart enough to think about remittance, which Mr. Speed struggled with when we had a conversation way back when, and how that influences and how that supports the GDP over 20%, which is a huge number for any country, which emphasizes the human capital element of exportation here. What's my point? My point is, I heard Robert Sanchez in the chat talking about we only want UK players to play, born players to play. You're missing the point. We are all Jamaicans, and we don't want to be excluded from the process. And Jamaica has not maximized or leveraged human capital that is exported because we then have this bifurcation and separation about who is real Jamaican from who isn't, and who ran away from who didn't, and who does what from who shouldn't. And it's so frustrating to listen to hear, to absorb, to digest, and thinking the strategic thinking in the country. Well, the country has a brain drain. I mean, maybe that's part of the problem, frankly. And the problem you have, man, is this, which is when I hear the JFF speak, the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing. And the left hand is not telling the truth, so the right man can't understand what the left hand is saying. It's so frustrating. Now, of everyone I've spoken today that I've heard in a public forum, Mr. Ricketts has actually been the most believable, the most humane, the most digestible, the one you want to engage with. The rest, you just like put them in a barrel and roll them down a hill. It is so frustrating to hear them talk. Whether it's Speed, whether it's Wint, all of them, they're from the same tablecloth. They're the same in terms of how they operate. When he talks about, well, we had this person in England and we have this, you can contact me directly. What process is that? That's not a process. That's nonsense. Where's the structure? Where's the mechanism? Where's the process? Where's the construct? Where's the program? There's no program. That's a bunch of people on the street just selling wares. It's so frustrating to hear this. We have a lot of minds and people with skill set that can assist the program. We have the wrong people in the seats that occupy the JFF, who I probably wouldn't want to work with or engage with, frankly. I am so frustrated to hear what they have to say. It's mind-boggling. I hope they don't run their own business the same way or where they work operate the same way, because they can't be successful. This is so frustrating to hear. And the more you hear them, the more you want to close your ears and say, you know what? If this is a reflection of our larger society, we're not going anywhere, management. We're in big trouble. And it's only going to get worse. It's not going to get better. So I walk away with no sense of optimism from this discussion. I walk away saying, oh man, this is as bad as I thought it was. It's worse. It's not a good look.
Go
Not
ahead.
a good look, thanks, man.
Go ahead, Dre.
So, all right. So, what I get from this is like this man is such a politician. He might tell people, the public, what we want for hear. And then at the end, the truth actually comes out. Because man, when we give him in the list of players, and then you try to explain, when he said that, how can we have a wholesale of players given to the coach and this and that and start being negative? And then you try to break it down and say, we're not giving you a wholesale. We're giving you players in positions of need right now. And then you say about 6 players. Then he said 6 is too much. How you know the coach even want 6 players? Then you actually say, if you think of it, the 3 names that we're giving you is Kyle Walker-Peters, Lewis Baker, and Damari Gray. And Gray's in the process. Then he cut you out. He said, even 3. How you know? So you like, didn't we go over this the whole entire interview and say that we're gonna give you name of players that we can think are that we know are eligible and we think that could improve the program and the team going forward? It's like this is just chaos.
Management. We have won 1 of 8 games, management. And we have bringing 15 players. It's a good look. You have 1 of 8, management. You have won 1 of 8 games. And you're questioning bringing 3 or 6 players? Like, really? You've been so good winning 1 of 8 that you want to bring in more players?
So, Cranky, I want to add something to what Duran said. And I think this is the only aspect, like I said, management, I would give you a 9 out of 10 for the interview. But I think you try to interpret some things and allow. Like, for example, when I spoke about the 4 players who have declared, this is not on their Facebook. Deshaun Brown sat down with the Irish TV media and said, I would play for Jamaica. He's not a youth player. I'm not talking about youth player. So I blame him for that one there. You come say about
I didn't see the names, so I didn't know who you were referring to. That's why I said it that way.
Yeah, you come say about man, I bring youth. We can't bring youth player. Right? Cameron Archer, Keenan Davis, are 2 strikers from Aston Villa. They sit on the bench, but they don't come on, but they're part of the bench match day squad. Right? But the main point I want to make, I am never going to tell a coach which player to pick. I was hoping what you would say, and I've tried to say it in the chat several times. The names you are giving is for Mr. Speed to contact the players and tell them how to get their Jamaican citizenship so that they can be eligible.
No, but
we are not trying to pick a team, and he keeps saying that, and they keep telling us that you can't tell the coach who to pick. No, we don't. I don't want to tell the coach who to pick. I want you to have the assets in a state of readiness that should the coach want to select a player, he can. So I think that is where it means. The person who is not doing their job is Mr. Speed. Not Mr. Speed, sorry. Mr. Rickett. Not Mr. Rickett. Lord have mercy. Mr. Tongue-tied.
No, Mr. Clark.
No, man. Mr. Clark, no, not know what I do. And I asked that question. I got cut off once. I don't know if you asked. Mr. Clark is not a registered agent in the United Kingdom. And they need to stop it. Don't make me expose them.
So here's what I'll say, Keturk. And Cranky made a very salient point, which is in the comment section, which is what I was trying to get to. Because the truth is, the best thing we can do in this dialogue is try use our intellect to suggest things that hopefully is implemented, it will make the processes better.
I
Because
agree.
I think what I come away with is that the processes needs
Manix man, there's no
No,
process.
no.
Let's not denigrate process with
Thank
what
you,
they're doing.
no,
That's not process.
Cranky. So, can we agree today in taking on Robert Sanchez, that comedian? No, what I got today from what I got today from the Gensec is that he does not want your help. He does not need your help. He
No, man,
doesn't want it.
No, man. All right, so follow me. Cataract number one. Let me tell you. Trust me. Robert Sanchez is a KC man. You won't be able to win. Now that Cranky maybe sound like he's on your side. Trust me. When the KC talks start, they're gonna turn against you. So leave that one.
Him drop out of school. Him drop out.
Leave. Yeah.
Let me say to Robert Sanchez, I attended the Kingston College upon Thames. The Kingston College, right? The one that 400 years. Hold on, the one that
Man is right.
The one that is
right.
400 years old. So if you are from there, respect your elder institution.
Cataract.
From us, were you birthed? From us, were you birthed?
Anyway.
Please check it out. Please check it out.
Let's change the subject.
All right. So
and purple is the color. Purple is the color. You took everything from the Kingston College upon Thames.
Anyway, go ahead, Manningsman.
Right. So my thing is that when I listen to the whole thing, how things are done is the problem. It's not what is being done, is how they are done. Like for example, the website being down because you're having problem with the host is a fix. It's not the what, it is how. How did it take so long? Hold on, when you can just get a kid to do it. So it is right.
Manningsman. Let me just say this, Manningsman. Let me just say this, which is whether it's the website, whether it's funding, Mr. Speaker, they have enough money. He's saying we don't have enough money. Whether it's the marketing, sponsorship, sourcing players, they have no process for nothing. There are a bunch of people who just assume a position because they get elected, and they're not well coordinated. They don't have a good structure. They don't have good minds and acumen in terms of what they need to do and how to do it. They don't know how to put good process in place and good controls in place. They just don't. And the most important thing about this management, you have to recognize your ability. You can only improve on something and do really well if you know your ability, you know the limitations, you know what you need, you know who to go source to help you achieve what you want to achieve in life. Not because you're in a position you believe that you have the skill set to do it, because you don't. And it's not because you may not have the desire to do it, but if you don't have the acumen to do it, it ain't gonna happen, man. It can't come out of thin air. So my frustration is when I hear him talk, everything he says, man, I squirm. I'm like, sourcing players. I'm sitting here thinking, oh, they should call you directly. Are you out of your mind? Yes. You don't have a day job? You don't do anything else? Is that?
Right. So this is
why don't you have a mechanism in place where you may have satellite office in key countries, as I said on the stream, the UK, the US, Canada.
Exactly, which is the process. What is it? And I think this is, and because you don't, and what I'll say is that because and Dre also said it, and I think what Chris was alluding to earlier is that when you don't have process, the different parts of the organization will say different things because there's no standard operating procedure or processes.
No, Mannings. I think you're trying to do your pastoral role, and I want to hear back from Chris. But just to bless the thing, when you are lying and you don't remember what the lie is supposed to be, you say different things. This is not about process. This is about someone who's not speaking. No, it's not for management to ask the question. Hold a second. The president said, I am interested in reaching out to these players. Send me the names. I will do so personally, and I will speak to Paul Hall as I get off of this interview to determine his assessment of these players. The Gen Sex says, where you expect the coach to put so much player in at the team? I don't want to hear the names.
No, all right. So cataract. So watch it.
So that is too different. That is too different.
But
No,
man is right then. The left hand don't know what the right hand is doing. Man is right.
Yes.
Cataract. Just listen now. Because you and I present two different sets of information doesn't make one of us a liar. That's all I'm saying.
Hold on. No, man is man. If for example you say, because you know what the when he says, then the whole of the squad would be English. Those are the people who are the yeah, like you have the never Trump. Hold on, no. You know, like you have the like you have the never Trump.
Cataract, what he said.
Yes, sorry. Oh, let me hear.
He said this, that what you think would happen if all of the players, hold on, let me finish. All of the players in the leagues in England were playing. And then I asked him, do you have a problem with that? And he says no. And he went back to what he said earlier, because I went on to say there are some Jamaican players, Jamaican born players, who I believe have quality. So I asked him the question. The point I'm making is this, that what the president said about calling the players and what Mr. Wint said about 6 players and I'm suggesting name, that to me is not a lie.
No, so Mannings, let me, and I use strong language. Let me say why that is. I listened to the interview and I heard the very same things. But in the whole interview, I heard Mr. I don't even know his name, Mr. Wint, give two different perspectives. So when listen, and I'm saying to you, you have to know, like, the people who are like, remember that they have some people that never Trumpers, and then they have the Bertas. Remember them? And when you hear some people make a statement, you know which side of the argument they lie. When they ask you, what should we do when every single player wants to come and play for Jamaica? You know the way they're coming from. They are the quota people. You know why?
But he said initially.
Hold a second. Because every single player cannot come to play for Jamaica who is in England.
But
only an idiot would think that.
But Cataract, what I'm saying to you though is that in the same interview, right, he also said that he wants the best. He said that he said we want the best players. Watch this. He went as far as saying, right now, we need to fix the football in Jamaica. And we need to rely on, he said it, we need to rely on players outside of Jamaica right now.
Yes, he did. I heard the same things.
All right. So
I say to you, after he said that, right after he said that at the end, you said to him, here is the name of the best CDM available to Jamaica, and he said, I don't want to hear. You gave him the name of the best right back available to Jamaica, and he said, where are you going to put him? So understand what
he said, I have the name Kyle Week. He said, I have the name. That name has come up with
No. He said, I heard that name before. Different thing. But hear that name.
Manix man, a couple of things. One is that it was an interesting dialogue with what's his first name? I'm kind of no Mr. Dalton. And what Dalton said. So management, I can say that I'm receptive to something and I support it, but I really don't, because it sounds good to the general public. That's what I heard.
That's what I get.
That's what I heard, Manix man.
Yeah.
Secondly, a lot of countries like Brazil and England have a litany of players to pick from. I don't hear anybody complain about who they should pick from Yorkshire, from Wolverhampton, from London. All I hear is on the best players, and you never have agreement on the best players. You can't say I should select the best players, but then complain about, are they all not going to be from Jamaica? Make your mind up. Right. There's the best players. We didn't say the best players where they born, so the best players. No matter where they come from, because they're Jamaican. They have the Jamaican passport. They're Jamaicans What can we get through our head about that? They're Jamaicans. Not because you live at Halfway Tree, you live in Mona Heights, you live in Lucy, you're Jamaican. Because you live in New York, you live in Canada, you live at Timbuktu, you're not Jamaican. They have the passport, they're Jamaican. What's my frustration is killing me to hear this nonsense.
That's why I'm saying it's too much.
You know what? Here's the thing, Mannix man. If Shelley-Ann Fraser-Price, if Usain Bolt, if Johan Blake, if Lane Thompson, we're all UK Jamaicans, right? And we have the English people who are born in Jamaica, right? Would we say they shouldn't run for Jamaica because they're going to get rid of all the Jamaican runners? Or would we be embracing them because they work? I'm confused. We haven't gone to the World Cup in over 20 years. The local born players are not good enough.
Not good enough.
And until they get good enough, they will not be in the team. What is so hard to understand about that? Why is that so difficult to digest?
All right, because, and I tell you what, listen, Cranky, you know I agree with you, but this is the other side of the conversation that I cannot agree with. When you're going to say no local player now can bring us to the World Cup.
No, he did not say that. He did not say that.
I said we have made it work in over 20.
No, just.
Listen to this.
Cranky.
We have a team constituted mainly of local players today and in the last 20 years. Because we haven't set the best players available at our disposal. If you're local and you're good enough, you'll be in the team. If you're not good enough, that's not the English-born players' fault or the Canada-born players' fault.
No, man, I'm bringing up this comment by Grimmy Family Production where it says no local player can bring us to World Cup. It's that's
not what I'm saying, man. I don't care where they're from.
No, man. Just let me finish. All right, I'm reading the comment and then I'm going to respond. I am saying that I have a problem with this comment, and this is why I have a problem with it. I believe that Leon Bailey.
No, he's not talking about those players. He's talking about local-based players.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Clarify that. Okay. Oh, he's saying local-based players.
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. So let me say this.
So he's saying that what he's saying is that Akwasa Chung can't fire the goals to fire us to the World Cup, and Jamal Topi cannot provide the tackle, and Haka cannot manage the midfield. That's what he's talking about.
So dense? I'm getting frustrated. Why are people so dense? I've said this 100 times. I don't care where you're from. If you're local, if you're from Mars, if you're from Jupiter, I don't care where you're from. If the coach believes that you're the best player for his team, you should be in the team.
Exactly. That's the point.
But Cranky. All right. Can I? What I'm saying? Most of the times, the way how they talk is that they're talking about guys who were born in Jamaica and now playing overseas. They call them local players too. But what I'm saying, if my personal opinion is that there's no player playing now in the Jamaica Premier League who should be on this World Cup squad. That's my personal opinion.
That's fine, What I'm saying to
you, but that's not fair to them either.
That's not.
I'm not thinking that way.
Are we thinking about the best players?
No, what I'm saying to you is that all I'm saying to you guys is this. I understand your position. Listen to me. I understand your position that in your opinion, there are no local based player that is of the quality to be in the World Cup squad. That's your opinion. Mm-hmm. I am saying, however, that there is a coach. And if Paul Hall says he's going to select somebody from the local, either for whatever reason, I am okay with that. At no point, at no point do I hear people suggesting that the squad must be comprised of players presently playing in Jamaica.
Well, I think
I raise my hand. I raise my hand.
I'm going to just speak. When I hear local players, to me, my only thought is those born locally. I've never thought about the local league.
Mannings, I raise my hand on 2 counts, and then I see a panelist join. I can't really make out the name, but it look like one.
It's coach is there. Coach is there.
Look, boy. Coach, hold on. Coach look like it in Afghanistan. But listen, management, I want to be serious. There is Stan Kroenke alluded to something earlier, and I'm going to call this out. This is not about whether players are born in Jamaica. This, for me, Stan, and you tell me if I'm assessing right. This to me is about a fraud of using the Jamaican national team to sell players. Because Mannings, I asked you a specific question. I know you changed it up and say you didn't understand, and I'm going to ask Mr. again. There are Jamaican-born players in England, Nathan Ferguson, Jordan Garrick at Swansea, another player at Plymouth Argyle in League One, Jamil Matt in England. The issue is not whether you're born in Jamaica, because them man they born. Junior Moraes in the Scottish Premier League. So why are they a problem with them? Why have those players been totally ignored? It is because they're ignoring players who have the requisite quality to keep players who are local in Jamaica out of the squad. That's the real issue. Now, I'm going to go on the line. I'm not fully 100% with Grimy. I was just saying it because I believe Dennis Taylor is a good enough goalkeeper to be in the squad. He's born in Jamaica and playing at the Premier League. He has demonstrated against Serbia that he can make the saves necessary. And you know what else he can do? He can distribute the ball out of the goal to a Jamaican player. Dennis Taylor, born in Jamaica, I think in Westmoreland, playing in Clarendon, is good enough to make a World Cup squad. If Jamaica qualify, I am happy to have him on the bench, or even starting, whatever, right? So it's not true to say that. There's none. But with a league that has not played since October, how could we be wanting local base? I mean, I understand the match they're going to look at, but what sort of match fitness the man they have? The league was to start in December, they can't get it started.
No, man. All right.
Manny's man.
Let me take on coach. Okay, I was
Manny's man. Here's a couple of things, right? Here's my concern. So we have about 500,000 Jamaicans in the UK, probably more than twice that in the US, right? We have over 3 million in Jamaica, about 3 million. Every day that number surprises me. You know, you see much more houses than what we had when I was living there. But here's my concern, Mannings man. So if we say all the physical features of the players are similar, maybe even more so in Jamaica, and yet when they get on the football field, we don't have the equivalent talent, right? And we say it's resources, we say it's coaching. What we should be focused on, Mannings man, is how can we develop the players to get to the level they can compete on the world stage? We shouldn't be focused on, you know what, Jamaican versus international born players or non-local born players. We should be saying, how can we get the talent up to the level? Just like we did with our athletics or track and field, we got them up to that level. We had the Herb McKinnons back in the 40s, and then with a drought until Donald Quarry, we had a drought, and then all of a sudden we got better. We had the physical talent. How do I nurture that talent, develop that talent to get to compete at the world-class level? And in the meantime, you know what? I don't have the quality. I go source the quality, and I use that quality management to help me develop my program. What is the active resource they can provide? What is the introduction they can make? What is the knowledge I can leverage from them? How do I use that volume of talent I have that's been developed for me, Manningsman? Somebody help me develop them, and they want to play for me. And I'm here fighting amongst myself about who should local, who's. What are we doing? Why am I so frustrating and I can't get it? Why is my brain exploding, Manningsman, when I hear all this nonsense and the logic escapes me? I'm confused.
All right, let me hear from Coach Minzy, who is in his ninja suit and mask. It looks like it's raining over there in St. Catherine. Coach Minzy.
Yeah, big up Mullins, big up Chris, big up Keter, Cranky, Dre. Big interview, Mullins. I didn't get to watch the last part of it because I'm actually at training. But, I mean, from what I'm hearing, I've been listening to the conversation. It sounds to me that there's always going to be a divide between locally born and bred and overseas born. But the fact of the matter is that I would say that aren't we all Jamaicans? And shouldn't it be the best Jamaican possible team that we should be vouching for to get on the field of play so that we can qualify for another World Cup. I think that is a bigger issue than us really trying to see who is born. But one thing I've learned is that it's gonna be difficult to try to change the persons in charge in terms of what their thought process is, getting players on the national team and so forth. But one thing I can add to that is that we have to continue to, get the word out there, because it should not be a case, like Cataract said, where the national team should be used to export players. Once a player is doing well, he should be given a chance. It doesn't matter where he's located. That's all I'd say on the matter for now.
Coach, I want to ask Coach a question, and I want to ask Mannings a question. And why I'm particularly disturbed at this interview. I mean, I've concerned when Mr. Speed interviewed, I had concerns, but I'm disturbed at this one. At the president's one, I was most hopeful and stuff. I use strong words. That's my style. Disingenuity is a problem. Do you know when the Jamaica Football Federation, you heard him come on and wax lyrically about players in Costa Rica and Panama? It is because we have contacted them. Go on Simon's channel. He recently began highlighting players who are born in Panama and born in Costa Rica. And all of a sudden they know them. It's not Mr. Clark that did that, who is their global agent. He has no clue. What I don't like is when people come with like a predetermined script. You understand, Stan? Them come to tell you what happened if the whole squad full of Englishman. Nobody said that. Right? What's going to happen if he said that it's not to play on their own in England? We have been in YouTube. We are long past that. So how are you going to come to tell us that? We are the people who have been telling you about Alan Origany in Switzerland at Grasshoppers. But I'm the one.
I have Dixon.
You have Denzel Hall at Feyenoord in Eredivisie. You have Deschamps Anderson at Lazio. So you see like how he says to you, like we are talking about the JFF of the past. They're talking about a YouTube of the past. We long gone past that right now. You know where me a scout right now? Jamaicans in Argentina, Boca Juniors. Somebody contact me and tell me, say, one man will play a starter for Boca, eligible to play for Jamaica. That's where I'm there right now. Argentina, my thing there.
All right. So here's what I would say, Ketara. Like at the end of the day, all of us can agree, all of us on this platform, the best Jamaicans must always represent Jamaica. Those best Jamaicans can be in England, Panama, anywhere in the world playing, and even locally. All right? And that is the coach determines as well. I heard the Manchester United coach says that he doesn't play the best players. He plays the best team. He recently said that, right?
Yes.
Right. In other words, you may be better than this player, but you don't fit in the team.
No, I think I think what you're referring to is what happened, for example, in Mexico. I think Chris spoke to it, where you put 4 right backs on the field. Meaning because these might be the best players. The 4 of them can't play all at one time. No. You have to put up the best team out there.
No, I think it's more than that. What he's basically saying is that if the player doesn't fit my system.
And players that complement each other. Now Manchester United has gone to play in a 4-2-2.
Right.
No, he's talking about his system, Cataract. If you don't fit my system, you may have the skill set, but I may not be able to play you because you don't fit my pressing style, for example. You're Ronaldo, you can't press, I can't play you.
Yeah. There you go. So I think the point he was making is that even if Pogba, as an example, is the best player at Manchester United, but he doesn't fit into the system. So what that means, all I'm saying is that you mentioned some players who are born in Jamaica. Like I said, I completely misunderstood your question in the stream. Paul Hall may think that based on how he wants to play, Shamar Nicholson is better in his system to give him the best result than Matt. So Matt not being called is not being ignored. It's just that the present coach thinks like he is better for the system that he's going to use. So And that may happen that a next coach may come in and say, listen, I'm going to use, and these are just example people, Ivan Tony and Mikel Antonio, and Shamar is not there. It doesn't, you understand me? Because it's a different coach.
But
And
Mannix
so-
man, Mannix
yeah.
man, here's what we don't see. Here's the difference in your argument versus what we're thinking about. We know the player's been contacted. We know they have the papers. No, coach, you make a decision.
Okay.
That's all you're saying, which is you're not saying Kawhi Kapisa has to play, Tyreek Mitchell has to play, Redmond has to play. You're saying, coach, we have these players. Have you contacted them? Are they part of the system? Have they been naturalized? Yes, they have been. You know, Paul Hall, make your decision now.
That's what Mr. Wint and
Thank
them would
you.
get. That's what everybody's not getting. We're not saying to pick. You could pick 10 forwards. Get them their Jamaican citizens, whatever it takes. 10, 20 of them. The coach is going to pick 3 or 4 who he wants. And I'm sure he's not going to pick probably the 3 that Cataract would want, probably the 3 that Manningsman would want. But that's just like we said, that's his philosophy, his system. All we're saying, give everybody opportunity, including the players in Jamaica. Because
Mannix man, we don't have no
when you
center
call-
midfielders, Mannix man. We
when
don't
you
have
call
no
the national
CMs.
team,
I did
For
suggest,
Christ's sake.
I called Jordan Cousins' name, I called
No,
Louis
no,
Payton.
no,
I
but,
didn't
hold on, hold on,
mention
hold on. What I'm saying, no, when you do that, you call the name and think you're pressing it. Stan Kroenke, I love you, man. You have said it, my brother. You have said it. I love you, my brother. You have finally said
Lord,
it
I'm in
in
trouble.
a language that I have been trying to say. I could not find the words. You have found the right words. No one is telling the coach who to pick. And the JFF failed. I mean, when I had an opportunity to speak to Coach, I said it would be remiss of me as a fan to tell you who to pick. But when we go up on my channel, me I go say who me why you for pick. That's my that's my role. But I cannot. But I cannot tell you who. Hold on, I cannot tell you who to pick. What I want is for them to make the best players available to you. For you to pick.
Mannix
Because
man.
right now, let me just say this last thing, Cranky. Any day, name day that Mikel Antonio get injured, what the hell are we going to do?
We have Shamara scored 3 goals again.
Shamara Nicholson.
Wait, Mannix man, let me just say this, Mannix man. What I want you to do, Mannix man, is this. You get the players in your pool, Mannix man, and you cap them. When you going to use them again, you know, care you want to use them again.
I agree, no.
You cap them so them lock into you for life.
Exactly.
That's what England does.
Exactly my point. So here, and this is what I'm saying, because remember, I did say, we are like the technical committee. We are a recommending board. That I said that because all we are doing, we are recommending the players. I think one of my things that I am going to do, I am going to follow up on these things. And that is why I ask, if I suggest a name, you need to come back to me and say that something, it can't just be like, maybe we need to do that. Maybe part of what we need to do is after today, next week, I need to have a conversation with somebody says, listen, have you followed up on the information? Because the truth is,
that's where it's flawed too in the management, because I think right now the process is we recommend the players to Wint go to Mr. Speed and Downswell, they watch the videos and review the players, and then they go back to Mr. Wint, and then Wint go to Mr. Clark. Where does Mr. Ricketts come into play?
No, Mr. Ricketts wouldn't come into play. He's the president. So I agree with that. But let me just tell you, they don't watch any video. They don't watch any video. And Mannings, you are aware, and I'm not going to call it anything. What was stated? They Google the player. They don't watch any video. Mannings, you are aware. You are aware of the specific instant that we went through and what we went through and the trauma. Who would have, unless, I mean, only call Grant a bad man and a dog. Which multi-million-dollar player would subject themselves to that, Mannings? I'm saying Stan Kroenke is 100% correct. There has to be a process. I'm not so sophisticated to say whatever, but just say anything I have to do right.
But that is the
But
problem.
his process, and you have to identify what is the performance criteria for Mr. Clark?
We're not going to get into is it go ahead, Cranky, and then
let me say something, Mannix man, which is you mentioned something on the stream around Freddie and a bunch of other people who are coaches in the US. Paul Young, all these people. So here's what you could have done if you have a process. Paul Young, Freddie, Marshall, I want you guys to be our source to help us with talent in the US. whether they're in your program or not. You identify those talent, you assess them. Here are the criteria we're looking for in these players, and you would be the mechanism, and you collate that information and provide it to XYZ. And we want some videos also. If you can get videos, that'd be great. So we can either facilitate, you come and see them personally, either the coach or somebody else who's on technical staff, or you do it. We value recommendation. So you're the liaison in the US. We have the same construct in the UK.
Yep.
We have the same construct in some place in Europe for other times in Europe.
In the
That's
UK,
a process, Manningsman.
Ricardo Gardner, and all of these
Manningsman, that's a process, Manningsman.
Yeah.
I don't have to get information from Bertram, Manning, Omar, Keterax, them one, them son and them grandson to be part of the national team. I have a mechanism you go through versus going to Mr. Wint as one person, which makes no sense. Develop a process and a system to evaluate talent, garner the information, collate the information, provide it to the ultimate destination, which may be Wint or Downswell, or whoever that person is, and they can then get that recommendation and then make a decision on it. Not some distributed process where I send some email to somebody get lost or go in your junk email. That makes no sense.
Well, Cranky, and I'm going to ask this question to everybody who want to chime in on it. What I'm saying, we recommend the players because probably we watch them or we know them, we've been following them. When we recommend a player, who comes to the decision to say, okay, I'm not we don't need this player? Is it the coach they recommend the player to, or the JFF? Because as you know, Mr. Wint said it himself, and I know him personally. He's not gifted enough to look at the player and say, oh, that's a good player.
But Christopher, here's the thing, Christopher. If you said on my website, I lay out foundationally how the process is going to work.
Right.
On my website.
Right.
So if I click on the website, I'm in the US. If you have a US player, you think will be part of the national team, you go to this area. That then goes to Freddie or to them. Then they do the assessment, right? And they'll contact you. Right. One of those 3 people will contact you. If it's 3 people.
Right.
That's a process. Not Christopher contact Wint.
No.
And Wint put in his email junk and move forward.
No, I understand what I'm saying though. When the process is done for
I understand what you're saying.
And bring it to the JFF.
Right.
Who from the JFF? Is it the coach or the JFF technical committee who makes the decision?
Question.
We're not calling
no idea.
That is the point I'm making.
Part of the problem.
Is here's the thing. And this is what Cataract is struggling with, Mr. Porter has struggled with, and I have struggled with. When you suggest a name, there is no feedback. So you don't know if the player was contacted, if the player is not needed, if the player has been, quote unquote, rejected. I think that is where there needs to be a process where that can be clearly understood and done. And I like Cranky's proposal, and I think this is what we need to push for. Find 4 persons with coaching pedigree in the UK, in the Americas, in other places, and the head coach will meet with them and share with them his expectation along with the however, and they become your recruiters, are the people who, so like I said, the Ultimate Butler, those guys, and they will say, listen, we have these players at Kansas City. And they would have done all the assessment. The Dean Burton, the Ricardo Fuller will say they are not going to talk to the players because they are coaches, so they can't go on and negotiate anything. But the information goes there. At the same time, you create avenues within the systems, individuals like a Cataract, individuals like me or Coach Mendes, Dre Weather, to probably still make those calls and talk to somebody in the system as well. I think that would be the best way. But I'm going to take Cataract and then the final thought from Coach Minzy because, it's a work day.
And we are working.
I'm on vacation.
So I'm being disingenuous. Cronky. I have a degree in business process re-engineering, so I know what process is. I'm just being, so that's for the record. As it's a man, I make some comment. But I'm Cranky. I agree with this. What I believe is that, let me put it to you this way. I agree with what Cranky has suggested, but I don't agree with how management has coached it. What Cranky is suggesting, management, is that you appoint officially some former players as the official scout for the JFF. Now, I do not have the ability to look at a player and determine whether he will fit in a system. I don't. I'm not trained. In England, for example, you have Dion Burton, you have Darren Moore, you had Joby McAnuff,
Marcus
Ricardo
Gale.
Fuller, Ricardo Gardner.
Gardner Gardner, Wes Harding, Paul Hall, Fitzroy Simpson, Marcus Gale, Jason Ewell, who are coaching, right, in some coaching capacity attached to a club. Officially name them as your scouts before it gets to Paul Hall. So what Paul Hall is looking at is the creme de la creme. So Marcus Gale say, listen, David Davis, yes, even League Two, but he is good. Go look at him. Or nah, you can leave him. But what you're missing, Mannings, man, and I'm not big enough, is the role that I play. They do not know who the Jamaican players are to be able to look at them. So that aspect of the process is missing. Because what Mr. Mann should do is he should come way at the end where you negotiating with the player. Furthermore, an agent can't talk to the agent player. That just can't happen. But I'm just saying that when a cataract says, okay, I have gone through the 2021-22 squad lists, and Stan Kroenke, Dre Anyweather, and Minzy and Chris are Jamaicans. I can confirm that to you. Don't ask me if they're interested. Go on, you contact them to see if they're interested. And then if they're interested, you also say to them whether they're interested or not, because somebody might not like you at the first look. You take that list and say to Burton and thing. All right, you are in League One, the Darren. You look at Wes Harding. You look at Amari Bell. No, Amari Bell, they're in a championship, so I put on respect on him name. You look at Curtis Tilt, right? When they come to play against you, so that means you will give us 2-game assessment. We are interested in looking at them, or these players are eligible. So the fact is they do not know the players. That's my main point, So I agree with Stan on that scouting system because that's what it is. An agent doesn't scout. A
Can I say,
scout
management?
does.
Can I say one thing before Coach Minzy jumping? Let me just say
Come
this.
on, go ahead.
Every time I hear the JFF personnel talk about players getting their papers, they're like, well, it's up to them. Manning's man, players who are catered to. Antonio had a private jet sent for him, Manning's man. He can't go fly first class, commercial, go back to England. He can get a jet set for him. They're pampered creatures, Manning's man. So what you do, you lead them back to the water. You go pick him up in a one special car. You go find out when papers made there. You carry him, go to the High Commission, when you go. You walk him to the prime. You sign for him if you need to sign Manning's man. Then get him papers, Manning's man. You know, tell him go get it done. Because they're gonna play video games. Manning's man. Don't people understand how the process works?
Yeah.
That's not how they operate. They're not gonna go search for work certificate and go call him father and go register, go find it. No, they're like, my agent does. I don't do those things. That's not what I do. I play football. All the other things around me, somebody else does it for me.
Yeah.
So how do you're the ones who need their service more than probably need you. How do you facilitate that, Manning's man?
Yep.
I get so frustrated when I hear him talk about, well, it's up to this person to go do it. What are you doing to help them do it?
Yeah. I had a challenge with that. If you're going to say, well, if they were interested, why did it take them so long to get the passport? Like, I don't think that was the best thing. But Coach Minzy, you're the man at the moment.
Yeah, man, big up again.
Your suit is really taking over. When I grew up, I wanted suit like that, my friend.
Yeah, man. I think I heard somebody made mention of putting on a website and the players click and they have a link to the former national players who would be scouting. Was that what was said? Or even if I
I had suggested that
misinterpreting?
some time ago that you have a button on the website that says for players who want to play for Jamaica that they can click and
Okay.
it emails the documents to them. So when you click that document, send you the application form, everything to your thing, and they would have it. But they said that they're too busy to check so many.
Yeah, man, that could be one process, but from what I know
Yes,
about
it could be.
recruiting, if we are going to be scouting players and having persons scouting the players, we are the ones that are supposed to be showing interest. From time to time, you're going to have persons who will indicate their interest and make the initial contact. But when it comes down to recruiting, wherever the players are in the world, we want them to play for us. So the recruiters or the scouts should be watching these players and recruiting them, making the contacts with them and so forth, so that they can get the necessary documents if they fit the bill and come and play for Jamaica. Rather than we having players just to hit a button. As I said before, that could be one process. But I mean, in recruiting, the persons who want them to be play for them, that person make the advance. You know what I mean? So that's
Yeah.
how I would really look at it. We go after who we want based on what we see and how good the players are that we have eyes on, rather than waiting on them. So put them on and play for it. And you have to make the advance, you know. And if them say yes or no, you might take that and then you move advance again if based on watching how the player is progressing and who the other country that wants them is basically treating them. So I don't know. That's my take on that aspect of it.
Dre, any weather? 2 minutes to wrap up, and then we just go right around Cranky, then Cataract, then Christopher. Thank you, Coach Minzy. Really appreciate you coming on, you guys. This is the longest stream I've ever done.
So for instance, for months we've been mentioned from before Gold Cup, from before after the Japan tour and stuff. We see a glaring need at right back, and we were been mentioning the player Kyle Walker Peters. Now, if that name come across Mr. Wint from back then, what is the process and why haven't any process been moved forward since then? Why I'm just now saying that name ring a bell? Because for months, the YouTubers in all of their predicted squads and players available and all that, we've been mentioning that name, Kyle Walker Peters. So the buck is stopping somewhere and the door is being shut somewhere along the recruitment line. Because if it goes to Mr. Wint, then Mr. Wint we recommend to Mr. Wint, or he get the name. Then he goes to Mr. Downswell and Speed. Mr. Speed is a very, very busy man. He got a lot on the table, a lot going on at the club level and all that. It goes to him, then it's supposed to come back with review and recommendation to, yes, move forward with recruitment process. Either him or Downswell do that. Then it comes back to Mr. Wint. And Mr. Wint moves on to Winston Clark and say, yeah, get the documents, get this player, get the communication to the player directly going. So when there is a lack of breakdown in communication going on there, these players' names just get pushed to the side. And then it's like news when we bring up these players to Mr. Ricketts and he said, wait, I never know what this player and that player. I'm going to go ahead and make contact and see where the process is being flawed and what's going on with the update. Nothing is moving forward in a uniform step-by-step process. So there's a big breakdown there. But people, thanks for the support. Thanks for 2021. Thanks for all the support. And Dre Anywhere the Sports, big up. Remember, subscribe, like, and share to the channel.
The lucky Chelsea fan. And the lucky Chelsea.
Look at who is healthy again. Watch out.
Cranky.
You know, Mannings, man, sometime in life you have a product, and a product is something that a lot of people want to utilize. They want to leverage. You think about Apple and iPhone or just Facebook, the platform itself. You try to get as much people as possible to utilize your platform. Try to maximize your platform and its usefulness. So you have a product, which is football, and you have players, Mannings, man. And you have a bunch of fans who are distributed all over the globe who are interested in your product. And you haven't done anything, minimum number of things, to leverage that fan base to help you improve your product management. And you don't understand that intellect and knowledge is not within your 5 or 6 man board. It's spread all over the globe. And there are ideas that are out there that you haven't considered. And I'm glad you raised your question of the maturity of the board and how they can leverage more youth to inform what they do, have a succession plan in place to help them move the program forward. So the program has been stuck in mud for years. And YouTubers probably, I've said this before, maybe not understand or realize how they change the dynamics of how the world works in general. But as it relates to the football program, how they're changing that. Because the traditional media can't spend 3 hours in their day talking football. And if you multiply that across so many different platforms, you know, most people are discussing the same thing in a variety of different ways with different ideas, different comments being leveraged. So how does JFF garner all that information, synthesize all that information, collate all that information, pull out what they believe they can leverage and utilize that to help them with their program, whether it's in sponsorship, marketing, players, coaching, whatever topic that you want to think about, or things that involve a football program. How do they get all that information, that knowledge to help them with their product? It's very frustrating to me to see companies use surveys to help them do that. If you set up a mechanism in a website, your YouTube channel, whatever it is that they have to get all that information in, which can then translate into resources they can generate, management, it would really help the program. Because frankly, all those who are complaining about not the local based versus foreign based players don't realize that we have much less players in foreign and we have much more quality players outside of Jamaica. And that should never be the case because they have the same DNA, a lot of them. They have the same physical composition. So there are things that are being done for those players which are not being done for the players in Jamaica. And no one is against local developed players or locally based players. To the contrary, if they are good enough to play, then they should play at the expense of the foreign based or foreign developed players. But we don't have that today. So you have to then take a step back, management, and basically say, what am I not doing right? What do I need to do? And most importantly, management, do I have the right people in the right seat making the right decision?
Thank you so much, Cranky. Good to great. Get the right people on the bus and get the right people in the right seat on the bus.
It's always about the human beings in a management. People understand. A bus can't drive itself. Who make the bus don't crash by itself. A human being drive the bus. Everything we do as a people in society, just trace it back to human beings, to people. The guns don't fire themselves, right? Everything we do is about people. Until the robots start running the world, it's always going to be about people.
So, management, when you said good to great, I thought you meant from cronky to cataract.
He would have flipped that.
But then, I love cronky to continue. So, on to the great cataract. Let me first start. And it's the end of the year. I don't know if it's their last stream for the year, but so let me be serious. I joke a lot. It's my style. I'm a selector. I that's the job that I do. But I think the JFF has to respect the skill sets of persons. So, Mannings, the database that I have that you refer to took 3 years to develop. I have research skills which are necessary to conduct a research over a large data set. Research skills which clearly do not exist within the JFF, and for which, even if they did, the person who is charged with it, who is the Mr. Clark, clearly does not put the time and the research methodologies into place to have gotten a database of eligible players. And there are other databases because, as I said, I don't touch England, I don't touch Canada, so I just want the JFF to understand that there is no crime, there's no harm if all 900 eligible players got a Jamaican passport. That is the extent of my interest. And are able for the coach to select whether by COVID or by injury or who he likes or who he believes will help the team to qualify. What I didn't hear from Mr. Wint today is a desire for Jamaica to qualify for Qatar 2022. I didn't hear that deep desire as I hear with him saying we have to develop local football on the island. Everyone agrees. So the JFF and others don't need to come on this program and tell us that. We all agree that the coaching has to improve and then the player development has to improve. And we would like to see more players who are born on the island developed, matriculate and go and demonstrate their skill sets worldwide, pretty much like Boza. And that when you're good enough, you'll be recognized and you'll move on and earn bigger and bigger salary, right? So that's not the question here. The question is whether the office of the General Secretary, and I would love for the part 2 of the interview and to know when it's coming up so I can structure some questions. is a functional office. Whether the office of the General Secretary has met its key performance indicators. For me, it's been an epic fail. What I heard was a lot of excuses, a lot of nuances, as Claudia H. said, a lot of things, but nothing directly addressing the salient issues. I am want to congratulate Manningsman on a well conducted interview, 9 out of 10, until he got to redefining my 2 questions, which I'm going to have him up for. But ultimately, we must give kudos to Manningsman also for having a platform, a network, and a relationship that could attract people who were previously, and I'm going to say this, in hiding to come out from
I'm
under
going
the
to
rock.
interrupt you. It's his style. It's his style that allows him to do so. You can learn from him, by the way.
No,
There's
I
a
don't.
style
No,
element to this.
no. I've been told before. You know why Cataract not play with Stone Love? Because we're wild. Because every time we play, we want to clash, and Stone Love not like that. I'm not changing my style. Them go do them thing, and we have our booking. Style makes fights. That's what they say. So, but I really want to jump back and say. So I want to take a time out, and we all should, give Manningsman a big up in the comment section. Try subscribe to the channel, like the channel, because he has had 2 major interviews. And what I liked most about what you said today, man, because my right half, Mr. Ricketts, not Mr. Ricketts, sorry, my right half is a Wint. I never know him name. You know, say we can't call him name. Me the for that new thing is you think tap out or not yet. Wait till me boss hashtag went out. But I like that you asked for the interview, Mr. Clark.
Yeah.
What a day, what a day. Man, this man, big up yourself. Get well. Glad to see you on the road to recovery. Christmas gone. Blessed. Man, I don't know what to tell you what to do here, but Happy New Year to all the people. Every team Cataract, man, big up on yourself. You understand me? I say, big up on yourself. Big up every panelist. Chris, Dre, when you know section 115 thing go Dre. Stan Cranky, you don't say enemy long time. But nowadays we don't agree too much. So I forgot to take a new thing. Coach Binzi, big up yourself. But the people them say you fight democracy. You know, have a poll for the president that can have the ultras. Them say you fight
But
democracy.
but
But
Cataract, with that
why did
comment
I
that you make,
ninja suit? Ninja turtle business.
that comment that you make a while ago about the Cataract man, them still me kinda but I no poll for that still. But Marlins, go ahead.
The
Yeah, man.
Cataract man them.
The cataract.
The man them. I have
Cataract.
the vote.
Cataract. Wall it. Listen,
What?
let me just say to you, right? I learned this, right? And then I'm going to come to Chris, and then we're going to close the stream, right? Cataract, I learned this, right? There are 3 things. Learned this in a management thing that I did, right? When the people employ, they look for chemistry, competence, and character. All right. And most people will say it's with the character thing, it is pivotal. And character is who you are when no one else is watching. What I'll say that you're very competent, but there are 2 things. You see, if you're posturing yourself to aid the JFF with your database and for them to listen now, they're going to ask themselves, can we work with this guy? Is there any chemistry? Right? So that is why all I will say to you, and Cranky keep telling you this, you have to manage what you say.
The last man that said to me whether they can work with me with my acidic
And you give
temperament.
me a description to it. All I'm saying that when it comes
Hold
to
on, man, let me give you a joke.
character,
The
like
last man that said to me, no, nobody can question my character. My
no,
character, my
remember character.
integrity.
No, character not from that perspective, but my character is also how I speak and what I say. In other words, I can say, listen, I don't what you shared, I don't totally agree with. But and that is still saying that I believe that you lied. But Cataract will say, listen, you are a liar. That's
So
that's all.
the last man that said to me, never like the way, but my acidic approach to things ended up with 14 seats. Right? I never hear Cataract. But just
So
talk the
Management,
truth,
can I
brother.
say something? Can I say
But
something?
just
There's a
talk
couple of
the
things,
truth.
which is in any conversation you have, especially difficult conversations, never let the person walk away feeling disillusional. Try to create a win-win situation. So how do I make you feel good about yourself while getting my point across, while making the point I want to make, while getting what I'm trying to get out of you? Okay, if Cataract would not want to deal with me going forward, if all I do is make him feel bad when he converses with me, why would you want to put yourself through that situation? You ever seen an interview where somebody the person walked away looking really bad, but they felt good about themselves, but the interview got what they wanted out of the conversation? That's what you have to learn, Cataract. Even your senior age is how to manage difficult situations and let both parties walk away feel like they got something out of the engagement. Versus, you know what? I don't want to deal with this person ever again. I cannot envision me working with him. I don't care what he has to offer. I always remember that. And I learned that the hard way, by the way, in the business environment.
No problem, Mr. Crunk. And I've been
Because
tempering.
a Jamaican like to tell you in your face that, you know what, about we. Don't realize about us.
Tempering, Cataract.
I've
Tempering.
been tempering, but I'm not going to change my style because everybody can be the same. Right?
No, but Cataract, the how is important.
Hold on now. I'm just saying, and I have also learned, and this is to share with managers and management, that the ability to manage talent and manage mercurial talent is also a skill. And being able to work with difficult people who may, as long as we all have the same objective and have something to offer, that's also a skill set.
And management, wait, Cataract, the first time you can get rid of them, like how Arthur gives it up, Young, is what you do. The first chance you get to say, I no longer need you, I'm going to get rid of you. Because you're a problem child and I needed you, but when usefulness is no longer needed, you're gone. You don't want that to happen. You want to always be appreciated, always believe that you can provide value. And even though the person may not think you have provided the same value you had previously, there's still value in some respects. You don't want to have a clear cut to say, you know what? I get rid of Cataract, I'm gone, and I'm so happy.
Yeah.
So Cataract is the Aubameyang, the Jamaican football.
Well, not that good, but yeah.
On that note, over to you, boss, man. Chris, yes, brother.
Yeah, man. We have to give man in props, as me say. Some great interviews, some I personally never knew would have happened, especially Mr. Ricketts and Wint. Knowing both of them personally and know how most of the time we bash them, but not to see them downfall, but because we want the football and Jamaica to do better. Right? So big up again, Manins, and I hope you follow up, and because you are the point of contact now, for make sure so we hold them to some of the things that them said them are going to do. And Cataract, I admire you still in terms of the way how you follow the thing and put the information out there. And as you say, as everybody say, you just need to control the temperament and thing, because you have some real solid questions and observations and inputs. And just like you say, knowing them Monday, if them have a perception about it the way how you did, them now go on you even for that in a press conference with them. Because
you make Cataract run, man.
Yeah, me see it, man, but you probably hear it back.
Coming back. Careful what you say, coming back, you know. Careful what you say, because he's coming back.
Yeah, but just to say, him just, because, Cataract, trust me, him can be. My personal thing when me I say this man at the comment is that, as I said it, me personally, based on what me say, is that JFF come like they need an advisor, brother. You understand? Because the amount of information we do, we know them now go gather everything and get every single player. But I just feel like you probably need a person who are going to specifically just for deal with players who are interested and players who need to get a look in. You understand me? I say, because everybody not going interested to play. And just like Management asked the question this morning, you link a player shows say, boy, I'm wait for England right now still. So, I'm not ready yet. But that no mean say you go give up. Because what is England no calling? Look on Calvin Phillips. Jamaica come out and say, oh, them are going to go for Calvin Phillips. Where so yet though? He just run, go tell him, say, yo, match come up, me I give you a cap. And what? He just get rid of it right away. So what somebody made up the comment, get all of the players them who are connected to Jamaica, convince them to get the passport or change the citizenship and whatever it is, and we just have them in the pool. The coach are going to change from time to time, and a coach will come with a different set of players because I saw coming in now and just because him have 6 games, I don't expect a wholesale of changes, but there will be changes, in my opinion. Because him a go like the player the better or he want use a player in a different way or whatever. And as we all know, Whitmore use a lot of players out of position. You understand me? I say so. I'm really looking forward to another interview with both Wint and Mr. Ricketts and to hear where we are with the players. Them. Another point we make me have a problem with is that him say right now we have 5 players. We are playing for Canada national team. We could have played for Jamaica. Did who knew that or who scouted to know that they were playing but weren't contacted? Right? Like just because them in a Canada team now we're gonna make mention of that. There are a whole heap of players out there still we are waiting and still want to play for other teams. So all we are say we're not picking the team. We cannot pick the team. All we got to do give the information out there. And as coaches Dex say, Minzy say, run down the player them, brother. Me hear more than one man in a JFF say, oh, we not run down nobody to come play for Jamaica. Virgin, we want them. You understand what I say? We want the betterment of Jamaica. We just want to know, say, yo, we qualify and always there. Because we have the talents. We have it. Whether it be they're located anywhere else, as we say, we need to cut this local base, English base. Jamaicans are everywhere. You understand me? I say? So, as me I say, hope the man have a good Christmas. Year coming to an end, everybody still be safe and hopefully we can get for join about the stream another time. Me listen all the time and me learn a lot from all of you guys because I'm probably the youngest person right here. And you know.
You're not mature, man.
Thanks for the opportunity still, you know.
You're not mature. You have to get to 50 before you get to maturity.
Well, and I'm a couple years from that, so that's what I say. Yeah, man. So just speak up on yourself, man, and management, trust me, like you know, really appreciate what you do still because I'm sure there are a lot of people who doesn't get the chance to come on, can talk and say whatever, but trust me, you're doing a great job. All of you guys. But for these information you bring out, because even with I was watching Andrew Peart this morning when the stream popped up. I didn't know the stream was coming out. And I really wanted, I'm going back to watch it because I know Andrew Peart and I had questions about him being appointed in the position that he was. Because, you know what I mean, everybody got their own thing and he presented himself really well to me. Yeah. I knew him from he was going to Manchester High School playing D-Cup, playing for Mile Goal. He used to play against me, so I'd beat him up all the time. And to hear that he's there, they did a lot for me. So
man.
Listen, thank you.
Man. Listen, thanks to every single person. You know what I always do. Listen, I want to thank all of you for all the support, the text messages, the call when I did surgery, just to know that I have recovered well enough. Still have a little bit supposed to see the doctor one final time to get everything up and ready. You know, it was on my neck, the back of my neck, but doing well. So I give thanks to all the love and the support. Really appreciate, you know, the extended family, the YouTubers, the vloggers. And with that being said, listen, I tell you, don't let your fingers be loyal to any vlogger. Subscribe to all the channels, but you can select who you want to view. So here's it. Make sure you go. We had Ryan LFC in here. We have Dre Anyweather Sports, Coaches Desk. You need to check out Coaches Desk. Check out Dre Anyweather Sports, Ryan LFC. You have the Formula, Unseen Sport, Reggae Boys
commentary.
Talawa TV, Crystal Davis doing a very good job. Sports down the middle. Sports CC Sports Lab. I think that's the current name. CC Sports Lab. I'm maybe missing out somebody. I don't know. I feel like I'm missing out some other names, but check them out, right? And support them. Subscribe to the channels. And please, before you leave the stream, please ensure that you hit the like button. Coach Minzy, when is the next show? Triple Tree Thursday or is New Year's Eve and all of those things? Or the weekend?
New Year's Eve, man. New Year's Eve.
New Year's
Friday.
All right, Friday. Dre, next video. Chelsea with a lucky victory yesterday. Lukaku pushed down the man and no foul.
Later today, 3 p.m.
All right, there you go.
The notification, people. Big up on yourself. Thanks again.
Big up Michael Antonio back on the score sheet. Form is temporary, class is permanent. So big up the baller. And a special big up to Nathan Ferguson. He has finally made his Premier League debut. came on in the 82nd minute for Crystal Palace versus Everton. A Jamaican-born player who has been suffering with injuries since signing for the last 2 years. And so, big up the baller, make him, because we wish the best for every Jamaica. Big up Nathan Ferguson, make your debut in the Premier League after 2 years of frustration.
Yeah, man. I Max it is out there as well. Check them out, right? And please listen, people, before you leave, make sure you like the video, right? If you have not yet liked the video, please like the video, and also make sure you subscribe to the channel. Hit the subscribe button if you have not yet subscribed. We have some big interviews coming up in the new year, a couple of new things. We have a thing called the forum. We'll be hearing from a lot of. We just made a major connections in the new year. We'll be having some international coaches doing a program every once a month on our platform called the Coaches Forum. So look forward to that. It will be a once a month program. So doors are opening. So we want to say a big thank you to those people. Big thank you to our sponsors, Tricknick, who is a Jamaican-owned company that operates in Brampton, Canada, and they use authentic Jamaican herbs and spices to make all their products. They're offering 25% discount on everything that they sell. All you have to do is shop at www.tricknick.ca and use the code IamSureSports001 to get your stuff. MPEC TV saying please check him out and subscribe to his platform. He's offline right now, but he's going to reconnect his internet and get back online. So check him out. Big up MPEC, the chess guru. If you want to learn to play chess, check out MPEC. He is the star down there out in South Central or South Jamaica.
I challenge MPEC to a live chess match and management program. I think that is football cataract, no?
I challenge him to,
No, you have to beat me first before you get to MPEC. MPEC is a grandmaster, so
MPEC no reach a grandmaster.
He don't reach a chess champion, and the man say he want to play with it. That's true.
We have a vloggers chess competition. We have to do it online one day.
Come and know, I'm going to beat everybody, You understand me?
A blitz chess we have to go play, though,
Yeah, man, blitz. Yeah, man,
blitz.
No, that no play for grandmaster business, brother.
Hold
on. When me a play chess, all a week the match I go take, is all a week. This is like
the problem. You talk long, you play long. We don't
blitz. That's why I want to play the blitz. That's why I want to play the blitz. Who can make the least mistake?
This is like Karapov. I am like Karapov and Tchaikovsky, Bobby Fischer. I don't play the hustle of the New York Park bench. I'm a grandmaster, bro.
All right, boss.
This is a test match. It's not the 2020.
Yeah, man.
Big up everybody. Stay safe. Yeah.
We'll leave you with a word from our sponsors. Thanks to all the persons who joined on the panel. Every single one of you, Mr. Wint, who did the interview, Cataract Cranky, Coach Minzy from Coaches Dre from J Anywhere Sports, Christopher, who joined for the first time, and to every person in the comment section. Really appreciate every single one of you coming on to the platform. Like I said, we're going to leave you with a word from our sponsors, Tricknick.
Jerk Marinade gives your meats and vegetables authentic Jamaican jerk flavor. The spices are directly from Jamaica. Spices like jerk seasoning, allspice, Scotch bonnet pepper, fresh scallions, thyme, ginger, and garlic. The key ingredients to a great jerk marinade. 0% sugar and low in sodium. You want to try it?
Of 18 Jamaican herbs and spices, add delicious, bold flavor to your next grilling experience. Flavoring sauce, a marinade, basting, condiment, or topping. Trick Nick Jerk Barbecue Sauce.